All right, welcome to Nerds by Screenlight. Is this episode 40? Is that a possibility?
Probs.
I think it might be
I'm checking.
after that.
Stand by. Hold on. I'll verify.
Yeah, just go and look at our lips. Anyway,
Yes, episode 40.
it is episode 40 of the Nerds by Screenlight, which, according to the Ghostbuster Afterlife mythology, we'll hit our stride at episode 42. So 2 more episodes to go, and then we're going to be rock stars, and everyone's
Sweet.
going to want our autographs, and it's going to be great.
Autographs.
Can't even
Something
handle
along
it.
those lines. So today's episode is all about the 2001 movie A Knight's Tale, starring Heath Ledger and a bunch of amazing actors.
Yes.
And incredible stuff. So the question for today is, which Knight's Tale character do you identify with the most? I will identify with 2 of them. I will identify with Roland because all he wants to do is go home.
Can we just go home?
He's like, I want to go home. Like, he says it so many times in the movie. He's like, I want to go home. And he's not like mean about it. He's just like, I just want to go home, guys. Like, I've had enough. Well, obviously what we find out later is he has not been home for a long time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's that. The other one is Geoffrey Chaucer, and his announcing persona.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love when I watched this movie back when I was younger. I loved his scenes. I loved just the combination of like old school and new school of just like the they would probably have ring announcers like that in their way who would try and amp up the crowd and get them in behind their night or whatever. So those are the 2 that I identify with. I'm curious to see what everyone else identifies. Who else you identify with. I guess we'll go over to Vicky.
I'll go with 2 as well. And I feel like I identified first with I'm looking for her name, Christiana, who is the lady in waiting.
Yep.
To Jocelyn. The reason I identified with her was because I kind of felt like my role in high school with a lot of my friends was just trying to help them out, or when she was comforting, go, well, maybe he meant it in this way. I feel like that's very much kind of been my role throughout my life. I didn't identify a lot with Jocelyn except for this one thing in my life and in my time before I got married, especially for whatever reason. It's like the creepy guys would just come to me. It's like a magnet. And it was just like trying not to encourage them.
Yeah.
Trying not to smile and them just being like, just trying to get my attention. It was just like not working. So the scene when they're like, I'll win for you. I'll win for you. I'll win for you. And her just being like, yes. I'm hearing this a lot. I kind of felt that a little bit.
Okay. Phil.
For me, I'll probably have 2. So I like Geoff because he's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy, and I like to be funny when I can.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I relate to, might surprise some people, is the blacksmith girl.
Oh, yeah.
She's
'Cause
cool.
She's like, she wants to prove herself, and she does.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really relate to that because I'm like, you're not going to tell me that I can't do something.
Yeah.
If I feel like I could do it, I'm going to do it.
Yep. I like, and so the actress's name is Laura Fraser. She plays Kate.
She's
and
awesome.
It's a picture perfect performance from start to finish. She's absolutely brilliant, and the way that her face and her facial expressions and how they really mirror how she's feeling as a character, it's really fun to watch. She is one of. I mean, it's all bright spots in this movie. It's the reason why. Whose movie was this? This was Phil's.
Yeah,
the reason why
mine.
it's Phil's 10 out of 10. It's just fun to watch. All right,
Yeah.
Zoe, what do you got? What are your 2?
Yeah, I have 2 too.
Okay.
So obviously William, he has like that romanticism that I do
Yeah.
about life of like changing your stars
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
making a better life for yourself.
Yeah.
But then also I would say Jocelyn because sorry. Okay, so like college, I was probably like, well, honestly in high school too. I probably was not the like cool friend. I was
Yeah.
like, no, we don't talk to the creepy guys
Right.
at the bar that just want to,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't do that. So that's why I like Jocelyn, because she's just like, yeah, just get away from me. Like, I don't even want to talk to you. I have my eye on the prize, and that's who I want.
I want to say that because he got left out, and I love him. I think there's a little bit of Watt in all of this.
Oh, yeah.
I have enough red in my hair
Pain!
to appreciate his temper. I was like, this is such
I
an
will
extreme.
fong you.
It's such an extreme example of like the angry Irish man. But
Yes.
as someone who's Scotch Irish, I felt it a little bit.
His. I'll wait till we get to the scene to talk about it. But yeah, I
Alan
love
today.
why.
How do you say his last name? Today. However, and I apologize, Alan, if you're listening to this podcast on a random chance you stumbled onto it. I have Alan oh gosh,
Tudyk, maybe?
we'll go with it. Anyway, he is an incredible actor. Has been for years. I got to know him through this, but then I got to know him through Firefly, Serenity, and his character in that movie, and in that TV series, and then eventually the movie. And I love his acting. I love his he's so just it's good
And
stuff.
he's voiced characters in every Walt Disney Animated Studios film since 2012.
Whoa.
Wow.
So I want to tell a story real quick before we go to our intro, because I haven't found a place to tell this story quite yet that's appropriate or that fits the conversation. But you talk about changing your stars.
Yeah.
So I taught sixth grade for 2 years. So I have two groups of sixth graders that I have friendships with and I have relationships with. I've kept in touch with, and I catch up with them. So the original group, my OGs, they're going to be seniors next year. They're juniors this year, so it's an exciting time for them. I ran into one of my students over here at Edwards, our local grocery store. And I had seen him for last couple of weeks. And I'm like, I think I know who that is, but I didn't want to be like, hey, are you this kid? And he'd be like, no, who are you, crazy person? So I was walking through the checkout line, and I asked one of the checkout guys, I was like, hey, is that this person? Oh yeah. He's like, and I looked at him and I said, I've been in here the last 2 weeks. You even said hello. And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, oh, and I was like, there it is. So he pulled aside, and I was like, hey, how are things going? He's like, they're going great. He transferred districts for whatever reason. It just happened. But in sixth grade and even in seventh grade, he struggled with grades. He was not the best student. He was struggle busing. Things were not going well for him. He was getting into trouble sometimes, and he was just kind of getting tripped up. So I said, well, how are things now in his junior year? And he said, oh my gosh, they've been amazing. I'm an A and B student.
Aww.
And this is what blew my mind, but still I absolutely, I was like, that sounds like that's something that you would get. So he plays baseball. Mm-hmm. He has offers from at least 3 schools.
Awesome.
Now, as a junior,
That's amazing.
for college. And I'm like 3 of them. He's like, yeah, one here, and one there. And he's like, and that's just the beginning. I don't know if there's more to come. I don't
Keep
know.
towing the line, man.
most likely.
Keep up.
So, but it was just like one of those moments that I looked at him and I said, would 6th grade you, looking at this moment, believe this was possible? And he said, no. He would have laughed. I said, yeah, but guess what? Look what you did. You got here, and you're on the road, and your grades are good, and your situation is good, and you're in a good place. You found what you needed, and you went there. And so when you talk about changing your stars and changing, we talk to students a lot about that too. Like, you are not defined by this thing that you did or that you experienced or that you're going through. That doesn't define you. You are able to define yourself for yourself and chart your story and your path and make it a completely different picture than what people have decided for you or what society has decided for you. I ran into one of our students from Lincoln, Dorian, at Walmart today,
yeah.
and he's doing well.
He is.
He's rocking it out. He's being an adult about things. It was just really, and I was like, dude, I'm proud of you. Like, you rocking it. You're working on that adulting. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing it. It sucks sometimes, but I like it and I'm happy with it. And I'm like, so changing your stars sometimes is a slight change, and sometimes it's just like, I have to get out of here. I got to go do something that's going to make me be better and be the best version of myself. So I've been looking to figure out where to share that story, and I was just like, I can't figure out the right time and place. But now,
Yes.
the right time and place has
perfect.
occurred.
Yeah.
All right, so when we come back, we're going to start with one of the best movies, I think, in a long time I can remember just like loving. And even watching it again, there's no nostalgia issues here. It is just absolutely perfect from start to finish.
It is.
So, having said all that, buckle up, stand by. Here comes the music. Put yourself on with some tea or cocoa or other assorted beverages
And cookies.
and cookies.
Cookies.
Because we have cookies. Yeah,
Thank
Cat's
you, Insomnia
meat and hot
Cookies.
wine.
this is Cookie Monster from Sesame Street. You should eat cookies.
You shall.
Nom, 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 nom. 4 cookies for you. Now we're going to get copyright struck by Sesame Street.
Yep.
It'd come for you.
They're gonna- it's going to be...
Don't come for me. I tried to stop. I didn't have time to stop him. I didn't know this was coming.
I don't know who's on the police force at Sesame Street, like Bert and Ernie, the Nor detectives.
Oh my.
Oh, I don't know, Bert.
I guess it'll be fine.
We'll get it's gonna be great. All right, enough of my voices. We'll be right back after this here on Nerds by Screenlight.
Get nerdy with me. Talk nerdy to me. Get nerdy with me. All I really need for you to do is just please.
I can stop.
Talk to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Welcome back to Nerds by Screenlight. We have taken on some unusual steps. I actually have the movie pulled up in front of me
That's just too much.
for plot purposes.
Good work.
Because I had a feeling we were going to struggle with plot stuff and staying on track. We've struggled in the past. Playback speed, we'll turn it up to 2 speed.
But I mean, let's be honest. Basically, what they're doing is jousting.
Yeah, so
Like most of the time.
it's a lot of that. So what's interesting is reading into the behind the scenes is the stuff we see here in the beginning of this movie with the kind of the B-roll, that was actual footage in which one of the stunt actors was injured.
Oh, geez.
And so they just kind of said, well, we've got this footage. He's fine. He was okay. But we'll put it in there and it'll be the beginning of the movie. So I love it. We talk about William. It was merely the beginning. And then the opening scene.
Yeah.
It's fantastic
It's great.
because you have no idea, right? So we call this in media res. So we get a little bit of the narration, right? We get the in England there was this jousting thing, and blah, blah,
But it's
blah,
not
blah.
overdone.
Yeah.
Right. It's just information. Okay, cool. And then we're right into it, and we're looking at a knight. There's the flies are buzzing around him.
You think maybe he's asleep, but the flies are a clue.
Yeah. And so Roland and William, we meet them for the first time. William has stuff up his nose because
He doesn't
obviously
want to smell it.
his boss smells terrible. And Roland is just like, well, what do? We got to figure this out.
He hands it to his friend,
Yeah.
and he puts it in his nose.
Yeah, Watt.
Yeah. It's
And Watt goes over there and he's
He
like,
just starts kicking him, basically.
like-
What is this movie?
well, no. So it starts. So no, he goes and he's like, hey, what's going on? Are you alive? He touches him and he says, nope, he's dead.
yeah.
And then Watt shows up.
Oh, okay.
And he says
He's ready to eat.
All that needs to happen.
I haven't eaten in 3
3
days.
days.
and that's just when William loses because he's like, well, none of us have.
It's not all about you, Watt. But then he says all Sir Ector needs to do is not fall off his horse, and we've won. And we as an audience, we know he's dead because Roland pronounced him dead.
Yeah, and he actually died from pooping himself.
Yeah, that's we find that out later.
It's a weird way
Yeah,
to
so,
die.
For real.
I love. So here's my favorite part of this. It's now going too fast for me. Hold on, let me go back. So I haven't eaten in 3 days. I got to slow this down. So Roland. So have you guys ever seen the parrot sketch from Monty Python?
No.
No.
Maybe?
So
have
you
not.
should at some
'Cause
point, and
I-
if you're listening, you should probably go back and watch it because it's fantastic. It's basically a guy walks into a pet shop with a parrot in a cage and says, "I have a return," and the guy's like, "Well, why? The parrot you sold me, is dead." And he's like, "No, he's not." And it goes through this whole thing where at one point he says he hasn't shuffled off his mortal coil because he was nailed there. Like the parrot had been nailed to the little thing. And so he goes through this whole he shuffled off his mortal coil. He has ceased to be. He's rolling with the days or whatever. And so the lines where Roland basically says, we need to fetch a priest. He's not dead. You wake up.
And he just starts.
Come on. Huh?
He's like, if you weren't dead already, I'd kill you.
Yeah.
Kicking him, you manky git, like all these things, and he just keeps going. He keeps punching
So
the dead
much
body.
anger.
Even when the people come over, like, hey, he needs to come back. And he's like in the
still-
background.
He's still.
Yeah, Roland and Will like try to hide him in the back so they don't see.
Right.
Our
And then,
crazy friend.
and then William just volunteers, like he doesn't even talk to his friends about it. He's
Yeah.
like, no, he'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be there. He'll be fine. It'll be great. He's 3 days. What did you eat, mate? If he wasn't dead, wait, I would kill you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then he decides he's going to ride in his place. It's a big risk.
Very big. The armor doesn't fit him. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't fit him at all. And Roland says, "What's your name, William Thatcher?" It's not Sir William. It's not Count or a Duke. And again, this is the beginning of that conversation.
Right. You have to be a noble.
Yep. You have to be a noble to compete. You can't just show up. Like
Right.
they're gonna figure it out. And he says like they don't find out. And then he goes and he competes.
Yeah, and all he has, like, for him to win, all he has to do is just take a hit and stay on.
Yeah.
As long as he can do anything, as long as he does not fall off the horse, he'll win.
And here we come with the modern music.
Yes,
Inserted.
we will.
We will.
Honestly,
rock
I saw that and I was like, it gave me Men in Tights vibes a little
Yeah.
bit, Rob. And I was like, is this what? I hadn't seen this movie before, everybody. And I was just like, is this a parody? And it's not.
So
not really.
I have something to say about the soundtrack.
Yes.
So all the songs in this movie are entirely overused in every other movie.
Yes.
Like if they show up in another movie, I'm like, here we go.
Yep.
In this movie, the way that these songs are and like when they come in is perfect. It feels like this movie can do because it was one of the first movies to do it like that.
Yeah.
So they get a pass, you know.
Yeah.
But it's whenever I hear the boys are back in town, Low Rider,
Oh, that's my favorite song, though. I love that song.
like all those songs.
Yeah.
And We Are the Champions. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go. It's so cliche, but this movie, it doesn't feel cliche.
I was reading some trivia about this. Aaron's probably seen this too. One of the reasons they did this is because they wanted the audience to, if you just play like regular medieval music, our modern audience is like, but they wanted people to understand on an emotional level how special this music was, and so they combine it with.
So let's walk through this. Let's walk through the soundtrack real quick while we're talking about it. So first up, We Will Rock You,
Classic.
Low Rider,
Yeah.
Low Rider, Taking Care of Business by DTO, Taking Care of Business, rockin' all the time. Golden Years by David Bowie is the dance scene.
Yeah.
Obviously.
David Bowie.
Crazy on You, which is just like classic hard. Yeah, Crazy on You, crazy. And then we get Further Up on the Road by Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
And then Get Ready by Rare Earth. I Want to Take You Higher by Sly and the Family Stone. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. One of Your Own, which is actually sung by Paul Bettany. That's the actual introduction. One of Your Own from just down on Cheapside. I love Paul Bettany in this. We Are the Champions, of course, and then Pieces by Dan Powell and I Conquer by Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
You think if all you had was this in front of you and you had no idea what movie it was from, you would be like, oh, it's like a late 90s or early 2000s romantic comedy or like a whatever. No. This was a medieval tale about a knight named William Thatcher.
And what I love about like when they start doing the We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
It's not just like a part of the soundtrack. It's not playing in the background.
That's an absolute.
The crowd is singing it. They're doing it.
Yeah.
And those claps are coordinated. That's harder to do than you think.
Oh,
Speaking from experience.
Well, and what's interesting to your point is what we find out as we go through this is the extras. This was filmed in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
The extras are Czech. They don't speak English. And some of them are actually homeless.
Yeah.
Czech folks. So what's interesting? So later on in the movie, there's a scene where Geoffrey Chaucer is making an introduction, right? And he says it, and the crowd just doesn't react. That was because the crowd didn't know what he was saying.
Oh, yeah.
And they hadn't been given the signal to cheer. And so Roland, when he goes, yeah, they cheer. So it's a blooper. But they kept it because it was so perfect.
Yeah, because it's like,
That blows
what
my
is
mind.
this
I love
crazy
that
man
scene.
Right.
saying?
And so it's like this incidental perfection where you're just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. What I love about it is that, like you said, I can't remember who just said it a minute ago, like it doesn't just do the music for the music's sake, it integrates it. It makes you believe, okay, if this was like you said, the medieval music of the time would have sounded like this, would have been
they would have been
bangers.
as enthusiastic
Yeah, they would have
about
been
it.
like, Rocky, we are champions. They would have been like that. They would have been like, oh, what a proper day for spot of tea. Shall we have a sit down and watch the lances? It's called a lance. Hello. They wouldn't have been like that. They're like, yeah, beat him up, kill him.
Well, yeah, this is like their only entertainment. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
they have to
Yeah.
They gotta have fun.
have some fun.
Yeah. So what I love about this, we also get the credits over this. We don't get that. We don't get that abstract or long credit sequence. We just get, here it is. Here's the movie, A Knight's Tale, starring these people, and we get to see and like they're all like the knights are chomping their little armor and stuff like that, and the people are like they're
Yeah, some
coordinated.
guys sloshing their drinks.
Yeah.
Shirts off. I was like, oh my gosh.
And even the horns are like the what? The
They're-
guitar.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's supposed to be
they're
like the
playing the
guitar.
guitar
That was a moment I was just shaking my head.
Yeah.
No.
No,
It is
it's not the
fantastic.
same.
Well, and I love it. Like the aristocrats in the seats, they start to jam along with it a little bit. So
They
it's-
fight it at first.
Yeah.
Especially the guy.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's not
And
into
then
it. And then
he-
finally he just embraces it.
He lips like rock you.
Right,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
It's like, come on, man. It's Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I love about it is because again we know these are Czech extras. They're filming in the Czech Republic, like they're loving it. Like they're having a good old time with this music and doing the wave and all this kind of stuff. So then the ladies start doing it, and then he starts the king guy, whatever. And it's kind of it's a lot of fun to watch. This opening scene is wild because
Yeah.
you think about 2024, they wouldn't make a movie as good as this. They would try and do like cheap laughs or cheap whatever. And it just would have been
Queen is classic. Elementary kids today still know about that song and still love it.
So then they go and they get it, and so he goes to accept the award, but because his helmet's been smashed,
But it's kind of a good thing because
Right.
he
It is
doesn't
a
have to
good
take
thing.
it off.
He's got a great excuse.
yeah, I can't
Yeah.
take it off. But it's broken. He gave the final blow of the. I love it so much.
lance to the face and
Yeah. All right. So now they've won their championship. They get their money. And now the crux of the rest of this movie begins to be constructed.
Yes.
The change your stars. William believes we could do this. We can make this happen. We can. And they fight.
yeah, he's like
Watt
so-
wants to eat.
So
Yes, so bad.
They get paid 15 gold coins, or I think it's silver at this point.
Yeah.
But he divides them up, 5 for each.
Yep.
And then he goes, "Give me your coins back."
Yeah.
And he's like, "With this, we can, we can pay for training, new
Yeah.
armor,
Yeah.
and we can win the championship."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Dude, you don't even know how to joust," but he's like, "I'm really good with the sword, and I'm gonna learn jousting."
Right.
And he gives them each 1 coin back,
Yeah.
and he's like, "This is for training."
Right.
And they're like mad at him. He's like, "Well, if you can come take this from my
Oh, I love
hands," he's like, "If you can come take this from me,
brilliant.
you can have it." And then like they wait for him to drop his hands,
Yeah.
and then they go up and tackle him.
Wait, his
And
guard is down.
Watt is so hungry, he bites them. He's like, "Can't you see how hungry I
I
am?"
was like, oh.
He's hungry, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so then William runs off, and this is where our training montage begins.
Yep.
Yes.
With the Lowrider song.
This
Yes.
is so great.
It is like again, you got to figure whoever was directing this movie and putting together like how this was all going to work. They had to like just be in loving it, being like, okay, what other music can we use? What can we pull in here? And like, because lowrider traditionally is like a lowrider truck, that's just car, whatever, has the hydraulics. To use it in in the scene where he's practicing with his horse as a car. I love the playfulness of this music and the scene because he keeps
Watt
missing
getting
it.
in the head, hit in the head with the training dummies, and
Oh, you missed. Oh, hold on, because I did write a lot of quotes.
Okay.
We did miss a. He's on the horse about to go in, right?
Yeah.
And William's like, "I've waited my whole life for this
Yes.
moment." And Roland's basically like, "You waited your whole life for a guy to die so that you could like be a
Yeah.
knight?"
Yeah.
yeah, he's
I
like,
love Roland so much.
he basically says,
What?
"You waited your whole life for what's his name, Eric."
Yeah.
He's like, "You waited your whole life for Eric to poop himself to death."
Yeah. So, I just thought that was.
I think
It is
I think
funny.
he's a little more coarse in the actual movie.
Yeah, he is.
But we're a PG show.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
yeah, it would
But he really like we learn later that he really has been waiting his whole life for
Yeah.
this moment.
Yes.
he's been
Yeah.
it's been a thing.
And his dad has helped prepare him for
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go and they train and it's
He's terrible.
the amount
At first.
the layers of training that they go through. First they
For
have
real.
the horse.
Yes.
That doesn't work.
No.
And they're just like, I think he's getting worse. He is getting worse.
Yeah.
I love that line. And Watt won't even like stand up with the shield. He just starts. And I love how Roland brings him back in, just like stay, and then he gets hurt. And Watt's like, "See, this is dangerous."
Yeah, Watt moves out the way all the time, and then he drops the shield on
Yes.
Roland's foot.
Okay, thank you. I was rewinding and trying to figure out what what
Yeah.
hurt. I couldn't figure it out. It was a sweat. Okay.
He's like, yes, he is dangerous, or something like that.
Oh, what?
Well, and then they have the boat.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
And it's like, no. Keep. So don't have it. Like, keep it at this speed. I need it here.
Yeah. And then he manages to do it.
Yeah.
And then he falls in the water.
Yeah.
And they're like, any minute now. They're going up.
They don't even
It
jump
never
in
shows it
for-
coming up. That's a plot hole. We're assuming. We don't know if he swam to the top. We don't know if they went in after him. We just know he's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they eventually finally get him out, and they get on their way. And then
And he gets better.
Yeah, he gets
He figures
better.
it out.
He starts to be successful. Things start working out. And then we meet. Is this the point on the road where we meet
Yep.
on the road?
They're starting to walk down, and
Yes.
on the
Lily
road
of the Thorns.
on the road to ruin, which it's spelled Rouen, but the way they say it is ruin. They're on their way to the road to ruin.
Just a play on words.
Yes, it's very fantastic.
And he's talking about like he's trudging, which represents pride.
What a memorable introduction to a character. How do we say the appearance of this character, Aaron?
He's in his birthday suit.
Yeah,
There you go.
He's. I mean, you don't see anything inappropriate.
No.
No.
Thankfully, this is obviously a PG-13
It's all
movie.
shot from the back.
Yeah.
So.
So we
But
get
you see enough.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't think anybody, and that's a big statement, but I don't think anybody could have played this character like Paul
No.
Bettany. And
Yeah.
this is
I can't picture
this
it
is
without
early
him.
Paul Bettany. This is young Paul Bettany.
This was his first day on the set. And
yeah,
he
it
did
was.
that scene in front of extras.
And yeah, he had to do it in front of extras.
Can you imagine?
No.
No.
When
You just got to go with it, I guess.
I guess. I mean, he just is just like, hey,
I'm having a bad day here. Okay.
so here's a question. When did Master and Commander the movie come out?
By DK.
Because Paul Bettany is also in Master and Commander. Release date. Because I don't know which one we got first. Oh, 2003. So we got this one before we got Master and Commander. Have you guys ever seen Master and Commander?
no.
Maybe.
We're like, what is this?
I would almost, if I was crazy, I would take the apartment out and put in Master and Commander.
Okay.
But I'm keeping. Here's the thing. Okay, so small sidebar, Your Honor, for a moment as we step aside. Okay. So Master and Commander is it's based on a book series. It's like a 25 book series, and it was written by a gentleman by Patrick McBride. I can't remember his last name exactly, but he wrote. It was nautical history of like the Napoleon Wars and all the things, and he wrote like a 25 book series, and it follows the captain and his doctor friend as they journey and experience all of their adventures. And so they took Master and Commander and the Far Side of the World in like the second book and made it. It is a absolute rock solid film. You're literally on the ship all the time throughout the whole film. And it is brutal, it is crazy, it is impressive, and it is like the acting. It's Russell, not Russell Wilson. Nope, that's a football player. Russell actor.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. There it is. Thank you. Russell Crowe. So it's
bad with
Russell
names.
Crowe and Paul Bettany as the main kind of players, but there's a bunch of you have if you get, like before this, well, not before this month is out, but the next month from now and for 30 days, and even if you're out there listening, get yourself a copy of Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. It is beautiful. It is a work of art. It is just that good. Anyway, Paul Bettany's in that movie. So 2003, this is before Paul Bettany was in that movie.
Okay.
This is also before he became Vision in Marvel and all the other things.
Yeah.
So this is we're seeing him still in a young time, but he is absolutely splendiferous. And I love, so notes from this movie, behind the scenes, there's a year or two where historians don't know what Geoffrey Chaucer was actually up to. This movie, as bold as it is in everything else, decides to take a stab at telling you what the acclaimed author Geoffrey Chaucer was up to in the missing year or two of his biography.
I mean,
Interesting.
It's an artistic license.
an
there.
adventure.
Well,
That's a good way of putting it.
What's interesting is
We'll leave it
there
at that.
are references to Geoffrey Chaucer's works throughout the movie.
By the way,
Okay.
I totally did like a head turn, like double take when I was like, "Oh, my name is Chaucer." I'm like, what?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Chaucer?
Yeah, he meant when he's introduced into the movie.
Yep.
And our heroes are talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
He even says like, "I've written such and such book. Surely you've heard of it."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, maybe not."
Yeah, because you're like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
he's like, I'm an author. I've written books. They're like, well, who you are? We don't read, whatever.
And not everybody was literate back then either.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, which is why they need him, because they can't write.
Yep, and
Right.
because he drops that clue, he also does patents.
Yeah.
Patents,
Noble
are,
patents.
which are then used to confirm whether you are from nobility, and their official documents. And of course, this is before the age of Wi-Fi, so they're whatever you forge, unless someone really, really does a deep dive, it can get you into whatever you want.
I also love too, like because this is kind of important to the character.
Yeah.
When they first meet him, they're like, "My man, have you been robbed?" And he's like, yes, and also a resounding no.
Yeah.
And it kind of like hints to like he's got a little problem
Mm-hmm.
issue. And he's like, so he says, clothe me, give me some shoes.
Yep.
For God's sakes, let me ride that horse, and I will give you your patents.
I'll make that happen for you. And so they.
Oh, Wattery.
Yes, we have to talk about this.
He's like,
It's my favorite.
If
It's one of my
you
favorites.
betray us,
Yes.
your entrails shall become your extrails. Your extrails shall become your entrails. And, pain.
Just lots of
pain.
So here's something. Because again, I'm playing this through at like 3 times the speed. So before this, they say, "Oh well, I'm this person. Here's this person." And he's like, "And I'm Charlemagne. No, I'm John the Baptist."
Oh, yeah,
And then Will pulls a knife on him,
He doesn't miss a beat.
and
Just
and
immediately.
He's like, and that I believe.
and that I believe. And it's like that moment of like the understanding of, okay, these guys are they're not too bad, but there's an edge to them in there somewhere.
Yeah, they're serious.
But yeah, when Watt's like, "Oh, I got this," and they're like, "Okay, well, be
And they're like,
gentle,
"Be nice."
be nice," and he's like, "Be nice, be nice." He's like, "I'm not muttering under his breath. I'll be nice. I'll be nice."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I will the entrails,
Pain.
of extrails, pain."
That line, by the way, about your entrails and outrails, it's from a song.
Yeah. I don't know which song it's from. Beatles, actually,
Yeah,
hilariously
I
enough.
think so, actually.
So we're pulling in the Beatles.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of sayings in here that are like from other things.
that are
Yeah.
woven
Yeah.
in. Yeah. So he just all right. Betray us, and I will fong you until your insides are out. of your ass.
F-O-N-G.
F-O-N-G. And so then, like, you have Will and like the other guy are like, they're just kind of rolling their eyes, being like, "We told him to be nice, and he's not. He's not
What?
being nice. This is terrible."
Maybe he does better when he's got food in his stomach. I don't know. That's my theory. Maybe he's hangry.
And Chaucer really doesn't believe him all that much. He's just like,
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
whatever. Like, let's
Oh,
go
this
on.
comes into it later.
Yes.
He
Oh,
likes to poke at Watt.
Yeah. Oh, those two are absolutely frenemies.
They're awesome.
And nemesis. So then we get the patents. They're delivered, and
Sir
we have
Ulrich.
and our friend, our protagonist has shaved. He looks clean shaven. He's
Beautiful.
He's looking good. He's looking fresh.
He's hot.
He's
Dude, I'm sorry. Even with the dreads, I was like,
well, and he looks very rugged in that with the dreads and how
Yeah.
he looked like that. And again, the
I mean,
sad,
it's Heath Ledger.
yeah, and the sad thing is we lost him. We didn't get enough of him to really have a chance to do much. We also get Chaucer, who is watching a dice game going on,
And he has this look in his eye.
Yeah.
I didn't understand when I first saw it, but I was
Yeah.
like, he looks like he's in love or something.
Yeah.
oh, he
Like,
is.
what is he looking at? What is it about this that's drawing his attention?
So now we have Will Thatcher, and he is about to discover his love.
Foxy lady.
Foxy lady.
He's singing something. What is he singing? I don't know
tell
if this
you.
is a made up thing or from a book or what.
But he starts to follow her, and so he's on his horse, and he just kind of gets distracted and tracks her down, ends up in the church
On the horse.
on the horse.
Just so offensive.
Yes.
And I'm like, why? It's just a different time, I guess.
Yeah, he's a significantly different time. So he stalks her basically at the church, and we meet the lady in waiting.
Yes.
Which I think I love her character because she's kind of just she's along for the ride, but she's also kind of just there to help.
Yeah, the
support and whatever.
Yep.
The outfits that our lady wears are
Awesome.
every time we see her, it's something new and
Her
different.
hair is the thing that draws
Well,
my attention the
so
most.
her in this initial scene, she looks like the Pope almost with like
Yeah.
the head.
She
I know. I was like,
does.
is she a nun? I was trying to figure that out.
She looks like one of those Final Fantasy white mages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So she's kind of, and she starts to figure out that she's being followed, and so they talk and to speak, and then he follows her into the church.
But I don't know if you noticed, but there's like one scene of that where he's looking for her in this direction, but
And she's behind him. Yep.
I always
Yes.
feel like she's playing a game with him.
yeah. Well,
So
as,
she gives him the nickname Hunter.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as we find out, she is not. She does play games with him a little bit.
A little
lot.
bit.
Well, all right,
A lot.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to that because there's a lot of. I love that whole all of that because it's just. I don't know. It's fantastic.
It's like a cat and mouse kind
It
of.
is.
Well, the thing
Absolutely.
is, you find out about her. She's not a stranger to this kind of attention, and so I think she's also like testing him, being like, "Is he gonna,
Yeah, she tested.
is gonna go the
for a
extra
long
effort,
time.
Yeah.
Right.
or is it gonna be like everybody else?"
Totally. I don't know. Coming in on a horse in a church is pretty.
well,
I
they're just
mean, it's
like-
got her attention, that's for sure.
yeah.
That's a gesture right there.
And then the interplay between the priest and the ladies.
Oh
where she-
my
He's
God.
like,
He's
oh,
like holds his hand out for
What a
Jocelyn
cursory
to kiss
beauty!
it.
yeah.
Oh, and she
It's-
says, "I only
that's
laugh to
beautiful.
stop from weeping," which is like another, I feel like, cliche thing.
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, he's
people say.
saying all this stuff like, "Oh, it's too bad you're cursed with this beauty. May it be stripped of you soon, so you could serve God better." And she just goes straight sarcastic. Yes, God, why did you curse me with this face?
And then he puts out the hand and she takes it and she goes, "Oh, that's really quite nice." And he just looks at her like she has just like kicked his pet cat. And he's
Yeah.
just like, and then he's like,
Yes,
and then he goes, "Oh no!" Goes this Latin thing away. And so they both, her and her lady in waiting, are just laughing because it's just so absurd. And then we've got the scenes of the yep, and he wins and they're excited.
Well, we get Geoff's first introduction.
Yep.
He does. That doesn't go over so well, and that's the one you were talking about where Royland had to kind of like save it,
Yeah.
and because the crowd's like silent, and then
Yeah.
Royland just goes, "Yeah," and then they all get into it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And this is when he doesn't have the good armor. He still has the
Right.
armor from the previous guy.
he gets his armor actually broken.
Yeah, and he can't raise his arm very well. And then he meets Simon the Summoner. Interesting fact, Simon the Summoner and the other guy are actually characters in Chaucer's A Knight's Tale.
That's so funny because in the movie he says, "I will write about you."
Yep, and that's the connection.
okay, because he's like every pimple,
Yeah.
every blemish,
Yep.
and you will not be clothed
Yep.
for all eternity.
for all eternity.
Yep.
And
so
they just sneer at him like, "Yeah, whatever, man."
I love how it's the literature pieces, because again, I'm a language arts guy. I love how the movie is smart enough to try and kind of, hey, this is actually a real thing. This is truly Geoffrey Chaucer. He did write about these dudes. See, they're here. And it's not enough of a nudge that you're like, okay, that's funny. You were smart enough to write that in there.
It's really interesting. I think I was telling Aaron the first time I watched this, I was in a weird headspace, and I was so confused. I was like, I can't figure this movie out. I thought it was like going to be like Robin Hood Men in Tights, and then it's like referencing Chaucer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like giving me like British lit vibes. Like,
Yeah.
this is what? What is this movie?
Movie
Where are we?
Movie refuses to pick a lane.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
it does not pick a lane at
It does
all.
not pick a
And I
lane.
feel like you have to go into this movie like that. Just be like, don't try to like categorize it. Just enjoy it.
Open mind.
It breaks loose. So then,
Yeah, we got Joffrey with his clothes missing again.
he's
Oh my
Less
God.
than 24 hours.
And
like,
you
come on.
finally figure out what the problem is. He has a gambling problem, everybody.
yeah.
and Will like says, well, what happens if I don't? And they'll say, well,
Which good for him.
we'll take it. And he almost says, okay, you're on your own, bud. Bye. And I think that moment allows for the seriousness of how Will is. Will's not just gonna be like, oh, I'm going to grant you mercy because
He's
I
not
like
going to be
you.
taken advantage of.
Right. I'm not going to be nice to you because I can. And yeah, no. So Watt beats him up again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pain. Take pain. He says, take the pain. Take the pain.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he
Well,
does.
he set a boundary and he
Yeah.
crossed it, and now he's paying for
Watt
it.
is going to get you
Yeah.
for at least a little bit of time.
There's a moment where Chaucer, like after he gets beat up, holds up his hand and says, "Ow!" And then Waters just smiles. There's these little touches in this movie where like it earns and then it pays and it earns and it pays, and just these moments where these characters, these actors, it's on fire. Like
Yeah.
it's just bam, 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 and you're just like, that's perfect. That's oh my gosh, that's great. Oh my gosh, what is this movie? Kind of like it doesn't want to pick a lane.
Yeah. No.
It wants to be funny, but it also wants to be like, there's a
My
really good.
headphones went out.
Your headphones.
Hello. Yeah, I don't hear nothing.
Okay.
Is my mic still working? Yeah, it looks like
I
my
hear
mic's
you.
working.
I still hear your mic.
Which one are you? 3?
I believe so. I'm going in and out, in and out. There we go. Nope. There. Wait.
Oh, wait, maybe you're kind of. Would that help?
There we go.
Okay.
We're good.
We'll hold it for then. Okay, so we're gonna have to do a little clap on that, so I know where to go. There we go. Okay, I'll find it. So yeah, there's just moments in this where it's just like, wow, that's crazy. It's good. It's good stuff. So then he says, okay, I'll take it. I'll get you your money. And what I love about this is that because he's a supposed knight, they'll take his guarantee on money.
Yeah, totally.
But they won't take Chaucer's because they don't trust him as far as they can throw him.
Which is all ironic.
Yeah, because they're acting like they're priests and like gambling's a sin, and and they tell them like we'll take a pound of your flesh or whatever.
Yeah.
And
More like British, Shakespeare and the Merchant of Venice.
Absolutely. So then, I'm the whatever, like too late have been announced, find. And so does he win
yeah.
Okay, he does.
He's really good with the sword.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
this one he wins like I think it's like a golden jouster guy.
Yeah.
Which he only won. No, you're right. He did lose the jousting. He won the
combat.
the sword.
Yeah, sword combat. Even with the like injury, like the messed up armor that he's got going on there, he still manages to pull it off and he wins. And
Is this the one where he also shows mercy to
That's
an
coming
important
up.
person later?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's coming up. I'm looking at the plot.
So he wins. And yeah, we walk in the garden of his turbulence and nobody says anything. And here it is. And then, yeah. Again,
I know we keep talking about it, but it's so good, guys.
That was not scripted. That was an accidental, and he was just trying to encourage the people to do their thing. So he wins. He wins trial by combat, and he is able to then pay off the result from his friend.
But the problem is he needs to get his armor fixed.
yes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. I don't think he has the money right then.
Yeah.
I
This was before he won, so he needed to get his armor fixed, and none of the guys would like do it for free.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll pay you later or whatever. They don't want to do it, and they suggest like he go and talk to.
Okay.
What's
Yeah.
her
So
name?
he spares him. So yeah, this is the ground combat where I think you were talking about like he spares somebody. He has the sword above his head,
No,
and he's gonna slam
that's
him.
not the one I was talking about. But
Okay.
yeah, he doesn't whack him in the back of the head there.
Yeah, he holds it and he grants him grace and mercy, and all that. So he's champion.
Is this where he's like, I really don't want to be doing the sword thing?
Yeah,
as
yeah,
much.
he doesn't
I want to
do
do
it
the
anymore after
jousting.
this.
He's all about the jousting, all about making sure and so now they're going to all the blacksmiths. Well, and they're like, we won't take it on guarantee. You need to pay us now. We need to pay you now. And they try with the other guy. They're like, excuse me, no, cash first, not promises. And they keep going. And then they say, well, try the Ferris. And the Ferris is our favorite.
Yeah,
Kate. And
What
what
must have been a huge deal at the time. A woman blacksmith
yeah.
in the 14th century.
Yeah.
I love it too because there's a line where Roland's like talking to her and he's like, "Are you being a woman right now or a blacksmith?"
She said,
She's like, "I'm being both."
Yeah. Yeah. What I love about it is that Will is smart enough in this moment not to play the woman line, but to say, no, they just didn't think you could do no, they said you were great with the horseshoes, but you're crap with armor.
Yeah.
The fact that you're a woman was never mentioned. And that's what makes her mad. That's what pushes her button.
It's just like, I'll show you all.
Yeah.
Give me that.
So I love it how she just kind of grabs it and she says, and then we get cat's meat and hot wine.
Yes, this is my favorite part.
Hot wine.
I look at Phil and I'm like, did he really just say that? Am I hearing things? So that was our comment earlier in their little group chat about.
Right.
Yeah, and this is the jousting scene where I think he gives the guy mercy, right? Like he's.
I'm looking at
his opponent, is he? Well,
Yes, it is.
Ulrich is whooping the crap out of him, and the guy comes up because it's 3 rounds they go. On the 3rd round, or at the end of the 2nd round, the guy approaches William and says, "I'm through."
Yeah.
But I'd like to go out and still keep my dignity.
Yeah.
So
Honors it. Yeah.
he lets him withdraw. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But you totally skipped over meeting the bad guy.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
bad guy,
Adamir.
He plays the guy in the
He's
holiday
always the
that's
bad-
like the player.
Yes, he's always the bad guy.
He does
he's
it so
got that look to
well.
him.
He does.
He's just he can't.
Think about his eyes, a little shifty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he flirts with the princess
With
lady,
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn. And
Let me
we're-
teach you about jousting. And I wonder, does Jocelyn actually know what was going on, or is she just trying to make conversation and see what he did?
I think she was messing with him.
I think she was too. She's smart.
she's
She
very
is.
smart.
Well, and what I love about how she's portrayed in this movie is she doesn't take anything from anybody.
No.
There is a lot of agency that's granted to her.
Yes.
And I think that's a brilliant kind of way to write that, because anybody else could have just written her in as like a helpless damsel and why are you speaking to me like this, but she's just like, no, I'm not, no, you don't get to do that, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
I'm Jocelyn, baby, like watch your back, man, I'm gonna take you out. So she's very much she's cagey, sarcastic. She does her little kind of banter back and forth.
And she's very calculated too.
Yes, she's very particular in what
One of
she
the smarter
says.
ones in the room.
Yep,
It's like a chessboard.
exactly.
How will you react if I make this move?
Yeah. So he sits down, then I shall educate you. And a match is 3 lances, 1 point is awarded. And so
That's helpful to the audience.
and it's exposition done really, really well.
Yes.
In telling us what's happening and how we have to, because we might be judging it or figuring out, okay, what does it mean? How does that work?
Right.
Well, I love he's talking about how most people like at the last minute move their head, right? So
Yeah.
they're not going to get,
Yeah.
But she goes, but William doesn't do that. He always keeps his eye like right
Yeah.
on the other person. And she was like,
Yeah.
he keeps his eye on
The prize, the target.
the target, a true hunter.
Yeah.
And I just think that's
She
very
says
brave
something
of him.
else in this scene, but we can't say it on the podcast.
Yes.
Well, and she
She is
yeah.
very feisty. Let's say that. She doesn't take nothing from nobody.
Yeah.
But I mean, he has that courage and that bravery, unlike
Yeah.
some of the other people. Probably because he wasn't born in this like noble life. Like he has this bigger experience.
What I do like is with the bad guy, in this moment, Sir, our knight comes up, and they're kind of bantering back and forth, and Adamar gets the better of him. What I love about this is that William isn't able to return fire.
No, he's like almost mad that he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it because it gives us the opportunity for him to improve. There's a lot of issues in a lot of modern movies, I feel like. It's called the Mary Sue kind of phenomenon. And the Mary Sue phenomenon is they're perfect at everything. They can do it all. They don't need to learn. They're powerhouses. There's no character arc. There's no I don't need to learn anything new. I know it all.
Yeah, there's growth with him
Right.
character-wise and jousting
Yeah.
from the beginning.
And I think that's a lot of what you see in like 90s movies and 2000s movies is you see these characters who are flawed, who are not perfect. And they're riding on the chance that nobody's going to look up those papers and try to trace them back.
Right.
And there's just that constant risk of, okay, well, something's going to go wrong. But she feels bad for him kind of getting beat up by Adamar.
Oh yeah, because he takes cheap shots at
Yeah.
like his armor.
Yeah, antique. He's like, finally, my grandfather will be able to wear his out in public again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, who cares? Because honestly, like his armor, I thought looked stupid.
Nah.
Like, why do you want to double shield your face, but you want to hit everyone else in the face?
Honestly,
like, that's
he's
a little hypocritical.
Honestly, he's clearly jealous because he's getting attention from the girl he wants, and so he's just like, "Well, let me he's just like a poor boy. Let me expose
Yeah.
this."
yeah.
I thought his armor was awesome.
I know, I did too. Oh wait, the bad guy or the
But
Will.
both. Eventually,
Like, I
Will's
liked
armor
Will's
looks,
armor.
looks good, but I thought Adamir's armor was cool too.
I think it was cool design wise and different. It definitely gave the impression that he was a bad
Yeah, it
bad
fits
guy.
his personality for sure.
And then we get the next introduction, of course, with Paul Bettany and saying, "Lords, my ladies," and then he turns around, and everybody else here not sitting on a cushion.
that was nice.
They just get worse
This
in
is
a good way.
This is my favorite introduction he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says some wild things that I don't think we can repeat here. And the whole time, Watt is fuming. There's like one point. There's one point Geoff says something, and like Watt holds his head, and he just goes.
So let's walk through this. He said, "The privilege, nay, the pleasure of introducing to you to a knight, sired by knights." And this is when Watt goes, "Oh
He's
no!"
like, yeah, he's like in pain.
Yeah.
And he's
Beyond Charlemagne, and everyone's just like, "What?" Praying to God, asking his forgiveness for the Saracen blood spilt by his sword. Next, he amazed me when he saved the beauty from the
No,
this.
no,
and
no,
all
no,
this.
no, no.
Don't say it. Don't do it.
I'm not. I'm just paraphrasing.
Okay.
But it's like there's just this idea of like he's
It's so over the top.
it is, but it's
It's really pushing in that lie. Like,
right.
He saves a damsel in distress.
Yeah, he seems to say damsel in distress, and there and
way
at this
putting it.
so at this point now, I think Watt hits like the
He punches the helmet.
punches the helmet because he's so upset. He says
Just needs a punching
he says
bag.
in Greece he spent a year in silence, just to better understand the sound
of a whisper.
of a whisper. And then he does this thing where he's like, oh, whisper. And you're just like, oh, Paul Bettany, you're a national treasure, even though you're not ours.
Yeah,
So
so when he did that, I made a comment to Zoe. I was like, "Oh, he thinks he's cooking right now." My man is like,
And he was.
yeah,
So and he says, so without further gilding the lily, and with no more ado, I give to you the seeker of serenity, the protector of the enforcer of our Lord God, the one, the only, Erling von Liechtenstein. And it just like, and both Roland and they look at each other. Just like, what have we done?
for real.
What
Created a monster.
Yes.
yeah. And it gets back over to Watt, and he's like, "I know a funging's coming. Just save it off till later." and Watt's looking at him. He's
Well,
like,
that
"Yeah,
was different. It's time
Yeah.
we celebrate our difference. Well, maybe not in public. You, yes, Mr. Fowlerhurst, where there'll be a good fonging. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch you.
yeah."
So yeah, we get the action and all the stuff. And what's next after this? I'm trying to remember.
Well, he goes his first fight against Mr. A. Adamar. That's what his name is.
Adamar, yeah.
So yeah, this is where he gives the grace or the mercy to the other guy. Now
that was before.
no, this is when we're actually like he talks about Colville.
Oh, he goes against him first.
So
That's
we've
true.
got Colville in our night.
Okay.
And we don't know who Colville is. And
Right.
Adamar even says, I've never seen Colville before. I've never seen his technique before. But this is where he talks about the technique and how Ulrich doesn't look away. Ulrich stays on target and the hunter and all that stuff. And then Colville comes to Clark. Yeah, and he says, I'm through. But now I've never not finished before. I wish to keep my honor intact.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, I'm going to do that. And so he goes ahead and they don't. He forfeits. And the Adamar makes a comment of like, 'cause she says, well, he shows mercy. He says, well, that's mercy is weakness.
But
Yeah.
not to her. Like, she's just falling more and more in love with him
Yeah. Yeah.
because he's the true hunter of keeping his eye on the prize. And
He's
then,
got a
like, showing
heart.
mercy.
He's noble.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And I think she even knows sooner than other people that he's really not like
Yeah.
noble.
She starts to pick up on it, I think. She's
You
kind of
think?
figuring it out.
Later on, I feel like it. Like,
I agree with you.
because when this is way later, but she says that what's her name, Lady in Waiting. She's like, she's been telling me that they call you William.
Yeah, that was the point for me that I was like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
she's figured
And
it out.
But not really, because later on, like whenever it does come out, she's like, I don't care. We can deal with that later. But yeah.
She suspects something, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something's off. For sure.
So then we have the conversation in the bedroom with her lady in waiting. And they're just kind of talking about like,
Oh, yeah.
would you have Sir Ulrich win you? And she says, no, but he's the only one who has not promised me to do so.
Yeah, it's the thing that makes him. It's one of the many things that
Yeah.
makes him stick out.
Yeah. So she's kind of like, this is that you would call it like girl talk.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole conversation about like, and she smiles and the lady in waiting goes, okay, yeah, you got a thing for this guy. You've just now admitted it. And then we have Adamar and our knight, I think, at this point. What happens next?
This might have skipped, but there's coming up. There is a memory, like it's flashbacks to him and his dad.
It's connected. So he goes. Yeah, it's like right there. He goes up against Adamar, and he doesn't win. I think he knocks off his helmet, and that's where the vision
it
comes up.
causes-
I'll let you take over.
Oh, and so they're seeing all the knights come in, right? Like him and his dad back when he was younger, and he's
Yeah.
like, "I'll be a knight someday."
Yeah, and his dad like sets him on top of the stocks so that he can see.
Yeah.
But then there's this, the guy in the stocks is like,
Yeah.
he
Who's
would have
taunt-
to change your stars to do that.
And I was
that's where
just
it
like,
kinda-
why are you taunting him when you're in this
For real.
position?
Yeah, so
a jerk.
Adamar knocks him off, and that causes him to have a flashback or he hits Adamar, and Adamar's it's a strike against Adamar, and then what Adamar does is he changes or he modifies his lance so that it'll actually be like.
That's at the end.
That's at the end, actually.
That's later.
Okay.
He has to be really jerk at the end.
Oh no,
I don't remember how he beats him, but he knocks
Yeah.
his helmet off. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then he has this jerk line that comes up more in the movie. You have been weighed.
Oh, yeah.
You have been measured, and you have been found wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
and-
dude, like you're so perfect.
For real.
Yeah, and William says, "Oh yeah, well next time when we meet, you will be looking up at me from the flat of your back."
Yeah. Yeah, so he hits him twice, and he's got 3. No, I think this is not. So this is the scene where Adamar looks at the fist on his spear, and he realizes what he's going to have to do, and he has no questions about what he's going to have to do to our hero. This is when it is sharpened, and
Nope,
Nope.
it's at the end.
It's-
I'm telling you.
It's not until the end. Because the whole time
He
I was
looks at
watching
it, but
this
there's
movie, I'm
something
like,
at the end where it's really
He does hit
pronounced.
him right
it's
in the
just
face, though.
he's just got a special. So everyone else is like obviously
Like
blunted, and,
blunted
it's
and-
not fancy or whatever. His is just fancy where it's
Okay.
molded into the size like a fist.
So we got
He goes all
we
in.
got, we got the flashback.
Yeah.
You have to change your stars, seeing all the knights come in. Someday I'll be a knight.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the dad's like, you can do anything if you believe in yourself enough.
Yeah. I love this moment.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's very cool.
It's cool because it sets us up for the reunion that happens later, and so the movie gets it, and yeah, so yeah, it's, and then he gets unhorsed, and then Adamar says, you've been gain more bearing, see you when you're worthy, and Watt literally like is gonna jump over and go after him.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Chaucer knocks him over. It's just like, good match. Good match.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Like, not
Yeah,
now,
just
what?
boom. But I like how like Watt listens.
Yeah.
Like he does actually go, okay,
Fine.
whatever.
They're like two brothers, honestly.
Yeah, they are. And he gives it back to our
Oh,
princess.
yeah, we forgot about the token.
Yeah, the token gets back to him. And then everybody gets their gifts.
But it's such a jerk way he does it. Like, he literally goes up to the girl and just like,
Yeah, this is yours.
here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just takes it and walks away.
Yeah.
Doesn't even.
Yeah.
Engaged.
Well, she's upset about the fact that obviously her
I can't believe he did that. Just like,
For
okay,
real.
you're shaming the woman that you're into?
Yep.
That's not a good idea, buddy.
Yeah. So it becomes, now we understand the danger of like these two are going to have like, there's going to be a conflict that's going to come about. So they chop up the pieces. They think, okay, here you guys go.
Yeah, they pay off Geoff's
Debts.
debts and
And then try to enable him to do it again.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Come on, guys.
the gambler guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are really well portrayed. Like the actors that they cast for this, they are absolutely slimy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They are absolutely like guys that you'd be like, oh, these are bad men. And I love how they just, and it's fantastic.
And then he goes to Kate to pay for the armor.
Yep.
And she's like, your armor doesn't fit you. I can make you way better armor.
And
And he says something to make her mad.
yeah, so I could make such armor you wouldn't know you wore it, and how much would it cost me? Just take me as far as Paris. And he says, we travel alone, take your gold and go.
Yeah.
And just,
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, for real.
I think because, so here's what we skipped over. So when he comes out of that competition, he says, I'm not going to do the sword anymore.
Right.
I'm only doing this. And because
He's cranky.
he's upset, his pride has been wounded, and he's mad at Adamar for trying to for showing him up and for doing all that. And so he's singularly focused on like, no, we're not taking anybody else on. We're gonna win this. We're gonna beat Adamar up. Like, I don't need you. Who needs you? Whatever you got. And then she's just like, here, I'll take this. Bye, Felicia. See ya.
She won't even accept the gold.
Yeah.
No, she takes the horse's head.
Yeah. She takes,
Okay, she just
'cause
said
he gave-
that.
So the gambler, they get the knight on the top. She slams the thing, breaks the horse's head off, and gives him
Okay,
the rest of the
that's
horse.
and
back.
then, and then they're gonna argue about what they're gonna do, and like, yes, no, yes, no,
Yes.
yes, no. And it's just
I love
Like, I'm not going to that party. The guy's going
Oh,
to
yeah, the
insult me
dance.
again.
yeah. And then the lady,
She comes to ask what
Yeah.
color
The
tunic.
tunic.
I want us to match.
yeah.
It's like,
It's
it'll
like
be-
it's like we do when, I don't know, our wedding. This is the only time we've tried to match.
Well, and what's funny is that like originally he was like, okay, we're leaving, and then the lady in waiting shows up and says, well, my lady,
Yeah.
You know, the one you like. She wants to match what you're wearing tonight.
And this is where we get like Roland's first interaction with the lady in waiting.
Yes, I
It's
noticed
so
that when I
cute,
watched
like-
it the second time. I'm like, oh, there's something going on.
Yeah.
This is so cute.
Yeah, there's some cool little moments between
Yeah.
certain characters, and so Roland, I think, and I obviously
He's
think
like so nervous. He's like the tunic. It'll be green.
yeah.
With
when he's looking at the
Yeah.
tent behind, and
light green.
Yeah.
Trim and wooden tassels.
I didn't get that. I was like, wooden tassel.
because those that, like
I'm like,
literally-
oh, he's looking at the tent.
Yeah, the tent and the tent is tied together, and so he's like green, trimmed in a.
In another kind of pale green.
And they're all figuring out what he's doing, and she's like, "Oh, I'll tell my lady," not knowing what's going on
Yeah.
here. And
But
then,
their backs turned to it. I mean,
oh,
her
this is
defense.
disaster. No, this is not a disaster, Roland.
think it'll
I
work
don't know
out.
how to dance. Which
Yeah.
This
There we
scene is
go.
so great coming up. This is my favorite. This might be my favorite.
1 and 2. So yeah,
Chaucer tries first.
Chaucer, your hand,
And it's just-
like a birdie on a branch.
I mean, first of all, he's a well, not all guys can dance, and I don't
Right.
think Chaucer can. And number two, his relationship with Watt just gets in the way.
Yes.
Just because you dance, or like you
Well, he's-
move like a girl.
He starts off. He says like, and what?
Watt doesn't lead
He
because
only
he follows like a girl.
and then Watt just knocks him right in the nose,
Just-
and then like it just cuts.
It blacks out. Yeah.
Yeah, it cuts to Chancellor or Geoff.
Chaucer,
I just call him Geoff.
He's got one
Yeah,
tissue up his nose.
he's got a tissue up his nose,
And he's got a stick.
and he's still teasing him.
And he's poking him with this, like, yeah, I'll keep saying it. I don't care. He's what? He moves like what, Roland? And he's just sewing, going, a girl. And Watt's still just as mad.
But he does it again. He says, "You can punch me all day because you hit like a what?" And then Roland says, "A girl." And that's when Kate enters the scene.
Yeah,
And
He's just laughing at him, going,
She's just like, "Whoo!" And she said, "Of course I can. Good. Why don't you show us?" No.
well, they asked so rude.
When they treated her like crap this whole time.
I know. She's like, why should I help you? A bunch of jerks.
Yeah, and I think what I love about so Roland is this voice of reason in all
Yes.
this. Like he's the one who's like, "Look, ask her nicely. Let's do it again."
We
yeah,
need
he's
her.
like, say please.
Yeah, please say please. And that's what I think. Like he's the more mature, more reasonable of them.
Yes.
He's definitely the mom of the group.
Yeah,
or at least the older brother.
Yeah,
I was wondering if you care to show us how to dance, please.
yeah.
And then we get late at night and they're doing it and it's working out.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, it's a lot better. We've got Roland working on the dress, and
You got Adamir like teasing him again at the
Right.
dance.
But then it's like, okay, so he learns this whole dance, but then Adamir has to be like, well, show us a dance from your country.
yeah.
And he just makes it up on the spot, and
Yep.
it's epic.
yeah,
Well, he's kind of like bumbling around, and Jocelyn realizes that my man is in trouble. Let me go save him.
Yeah.
So she comes up and like does a little clap, and they make the whole dance together. Like it's
I
pretty
think
cool.
it's so. I
It's
literally
really cool.
wrote
I
epic
think-
dance scene.
Yeah, I think
I
this
think it says a lot about her character, the fact that she came in to like his rescue.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
cool.
it also shows like she's picking up on like
yeah,
his identity in a little
yeah.
way.
She's trying to help him.
Yeah.
This scene, I remember it. People were just amazed at it.
Yeah.
It was such. So the beauty of it is obviously it's David Bowie's song, but it's done in such a way.
It doesn't start off that way.
No,
Yeah.
it starts off and I'm like, this song sounds familiar. What is that? And
then it kicks in, and it's a beautiful scene because of how it marries the music,
Yeah.
with the choreography and just the feel of it.
It's a seamless transition.
Yeah, effortless.
I thought.
It is so effortless.
It is.
and it's you just sit back and, like you said, you just enjoy watching this whole thing goes down,
Yeah, it's fun.
and it's just a lot of fun to watch. It does help that obviously so we get our Sir Ulrich, you should do the dance. Why don't you show a dance of your country? And it works. So then, she steps in, she comes in, and she does the thing, and it works. And he just follows her lead, which is interesting because usually the girl doesn't lead.
Right.
But in this moment, with this whole thing, she leads. And I think, again, it's that subverting, not overtly subverting the expectations, but kind of just saying, hey, we're going to do this a little differently.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely a fantastic scene. I remember watching this scene before, and like, but when it originally came out, I was just like, "This is brilliant." And then Adamar's just sitting there going,
yeah, he's fuming.
"Yeah, he's mad because she just like," and
Can't
everyone's
subvert
enjoying it.
this guy.
Yeah,
Salty.
Winning my woman.
yeah, winning my woman, winning. Like I just tried to show him up, and he just, he beat me again. But I love that it's David Bowie. I love it.
Me too.
All right, what's next?
The armor's made. Brand new armor.
Yes.
With the
Revolutionary
fake Nike sign.
armor.
Yeah.
And he doesn't trust it. He's like, it's like it's too small. It's not thick enough.
Yeah.
I think it
they're like-
must have been like a new invention.
Well, she
because of the
said
way
she
people react to
used
it.
a special technique or something like
Yeah.
that.
She heated it up to a certain amount. But then she says, well, do you have the courage to test it?
Yeah.
And
And it has the upside down like Nike.
Yeah, the Nike symbol. And they ask her, like, oh, what is this? Oh, it's if somebody admires they know who it came
Yeah.
from.
I think
and I
Nike
love,
did end up endorsing it afterwards, or
I
like they
don't-
added
I
it
don't
for
know
that.
what
I was
that-
reading in the trivia.
I don't know how that all shaked out, but it does make me laugh because, again, it's taking the old and the new and kind of just mixing it together. And so, yeah, she's making the armor. I love how the focus on Kate is given and how brilliant it is. But yeah, they test it, and we're now at the latest. And so, yeah, they all laugh at him when it shows up. They're like, "Oh, you idiot! You've got like whatever."
It's nothing.
Yeah, because his armor's like it's
Lightweight.
Like, and at the whole time, like they're laughing at him. There's this dude in the background struggling
yeah.
to get on his horse, and then they're like laughing at him, and he just hops up on his like it's nothing.
Yep.
And then they shut
so
up.
they stop laughing.
Yeah,
So, all right, what happens next?
I can move in this armor. Like,
The mysterious knight from before, his identity is revealed.
yeah.
Oh,
so,
That's what I have.
so he's supposed to. Him and Adamar are supposed to go up.
Well,
And-
no. So it starts with the first one is where he's going up against the nameless guy, and what they
Yeah.
do to make him mad is they tell him, oh well, he's been stealing from his people and and then he
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and then he
That-
says,
yeah, this dude.
and it's probably true.
They hype him up.
They hype him
Right.
up, so he just annihilates this
Oh,
dude.
he really-
He sends them through like the little fence in the middle that they
Right.
got. He oh gosh that
Yeah.
that
And
hit
at
was
first, his
brutal.
buddies are excited, but then they're just like, "Whoa,
yeah,
maybe he went too far."
yeah.
Like football fans out there, think about the hardest hit you ever seen a linebacker
Yeah.
do to a quarterback.
Yeah.
Times that by 10,
It's
and
intense.
that's what Sir Ulrich does to
Yeah.
this guy.
And then we
It's
get the Adamar battle, and what? So Chaucer is using a mirror to psych out the announcer.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
announcer.
This is a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy says some crazy stuff too. But I don't. He
But we
was
can't-
highly distracted.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant to say those things.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is coming up soon, but there is a part where Adamir won't fight this one person, but
This is
William
it.
Yeah,
does.
This is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's the revelation. So this is like historical that royalty would compete in these matches, but they would do so under like disguise and under a name that was not their name. Synonym, yeah. And so or pseudonym, sorry.
Yeah.
And so they come to Adamar and they say, we know who it's Edward, it's Prince Edward,
Yeah.
the son of the king.
Which is his boss.
Right, which is and so it's the one time that Adamar says, okay, no, I'm not going to do it, because the reality of it is the possibility exists that Adamar could have killed him,
Yeah.
or hurt him, or done, because Adamar is a no nonsense, no mercy, no grace, kill them all, annihilate the competition.
Yeah.
And it's the one time we see him blink, which is really fascinating to me. That's the one he won't do.
He's
So
like, well, I'm not going to usurp the throne.
yeah,
That's my limit, I guess.
not going to try and do it.
And so, like, William's people find this out. Oh no, like
Yeah.
it's like the prince.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we gotta withdraw too. Oh no.
Yeah.
And then Will's like, heck no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go for it. And
Yeah.
he just
Yeah,
starts
he's like,
running
if-
on
Yeah.
the
Well,
horse.
because he realizes like he's hiding his identity. Will's like, I'm hiding my identity too.
Yeah.
Like let's
Yeah.
and it helps in the end.
yeah, like I'm gonna show
Like
this,
he respects it.
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm gonna show this man some respect. Like he came
Yeah.
here to participate. Let's do it.
And you can tell he's disappointed when Adamar backs out.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like,
He wants to do this.
yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. What you were saying?
I forgot.
Sorry.
So
But
they,
yeah,
they go to drop the flag and they do it, and the prince is just kind of disappointed, but then he takes off and it's game on, baby. And I think for what happens later in this movie, this moment is huge because
Yeah.
it's a payoff for how we will get to see how he'll get saved, how Thatcher will get saved later.
Yeah. He respects him.
Yeah,
Yes.
he respects him enough to challenge him, and so he takes off it's Prince Edward, And he says, you knew who I was. And he says, and you still rode. Like, that elevates him above Adamar. Like, and I think it's part of why he sends Adamar to go fight his fights.
Yes.
He's like, okay, you couldn't have the courage to stand up to me.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia. See you later. Have fun. Enjoy your time. So, yeah.
Where Sir Aldridge, like,
Yeah.
takes over every single jousting match
Yep.
when he's gone. So, yeah. Which he gets.
So
mad
now
at.
so now we get into the point where we learn about Will's, he can't handle those emotions well. And this is where we're going to lean into like Zoe a little bit.
I was mad at him.
Yes.
Me too.
And
I was so confused. I was like, what is your problem?
So what happens is obviously right before he gets to talk to Jocelyn, he gets the news that Adamar withdrew.
Right.
So Adamar's not going to compete. And it's like
He can't beat him, and he can't watch him to learn his weaknesses.
yeah, so he's not going to have any experience to learn anything. And right after that moment is when Jocelyn just comes in, no, I'm still, let me flirt with you.
If they're
And
going to
he's-
the dance,
and
what are we
again-
going to wear tonight?
And Will is just not having it. I agree. It makes me angry too, because if the lady that you like is going to hang out with you and like is talking sweetly to you, find a way to handle your business, sir.
For real. You care more about this dude.
Calls her like a silly girl and like frivolous, and
Yeah.
she's hurt.
Yeah, and this is where we get that. She's like, well, I'd rather be a silly girl than
with the
silly-
flower.
Right.
Yeah, a silly girl with a flower than a silly boy on a horse with a stick.
It's a Lance. Hello.
Yeah, well,
Oh what? Oh what?
it's a lance, hello.
That is one of my favorite scenes.
And then he looks at Will or Sir Auric, and he's like, dang, no Adamir or no Jocelyn. And he's like, oh, you're just rubbing it in, huh?
So what I love this line is she's like, oh, what will you be wearing? He's like, nothing. She's like, oh, well then we'll cause a sensation. I'll dress to match.
She went with it.
And then he
Yes.
says, don't you? And his question is very rhetorical or metaphorical. Like, don't you ever get tired of putting on clothes? And so
Well,
he's,
yeah.
he's
And Chaucer's trying to help. He's like, no, it's like that.
so then you have Chaucer who says, my lord, I think she's talking about taking them off.
Yeah, like, hello.
he's trying to be like, buddy,
Like, what are you doing?
buddy, she's flirting with you.
Yes.
She's giving you a line. No one is being fed to you. You need
Dropping the ball, man.
He's got good friends around him.
He really does.
Yeah.
Zoe, what were your thoughts with this scene from your counseling perspective?
I guess I was thrown off because, yeah, I get that you're upset, but you've been trying to get this girl like the whole time, and then you're just going to basically just throw her.
For me, I feel like it's William getting a little bit of an ego at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, yeah.
Because he feels like he's all that in a bag of chips. He could have beat Adamar. He didn't get to beat Adamar. And his
But like, I guess I didn't understand why he feels like he has to do that in order to still be like successful.
well, I think because Adamar's statement to him was, "You've been measured, you've been weighed, and you've been found wanting." And so, even as much as he's changed his stars, Adamar is telling him, "You don't matter. You're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. You're gonna just be this mid-range guy." And for Will, he's wanted to be the best knight there ever was. He's
Yeah.
watched them from where he lived. He's watched and he's wanted. He served a knight, a pretty good one for the most part until he died. Like he watched him win, and he could see what was possible and how high you could go in the rankings and how many ladders you could climb to get there. And so all of a sudden, he's just this close to it, only to have it snatched away because this guy's a jerk. And I would argue, and you can disagree with me, or you can agree, or you can whatever. But I think his ego is going to overpower his love. His ego is going to, because we talk about the id, the ego, and the whatever super ego. So in that mix, he is totally driven by what he wants. He selfishly wants to be the best knight, and the only way is to beat the guy who told him he's worthless. Does it make it okay with how he treats Jocelyn? Absolutely not, without question. But it's that we talk about it like the lizard brain, It gets overridden by our emotions. He's upset. He's pissed. He wants to beat Adamar. He's not going to get his chance. It's all over. Like in his head, this whole thing that he's been training for and spending all this time on, all this effort, is now meaningless. Now, would he find hope in his love of Jocelyn? There, yes, but in his brain, he's not thinking like that. He's thinking like, this silly girl is flirting with me. She doesn't understand that this is the end for me. The game is over. I have nowhere to go. I can't beat the guy who told me I'm worthless. I'm worthless. I am not no. And flowers, and he said he says you can't eat a flower. A flower doesn't keep you warm.
But you can eat flowers. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yes, some flowers are edible.
Just gonna throw that out there. And I guess my point is like you shouldn't always like listen to what other people say about you and like hold on to that so hard that like that becomes your identity, because he does, like Vicky was saying, have all these people around him supporting him. Yeah. And he's kind of like pushing them all away right now because he's just so focused on beating him.
And before I could see indications of this, when he won the sword match, and he was like, "I'm not going to do it anymore. Jousting's all that matters." And I was like, "This guy has too much power over you."
Like the jousting pays the most money.
Oh, that's true.
It's, yeah, and for him to be good at jousting, he needed more time for training.
Yep.
So
yeah, they have a whole fight about a rose. He says a rose never knocked a man off a horse either, did it? And so she's now mad. Like he's pushed the buttons, and he says you're just a silly. Okay, now this is the moment when Roland is talking to the lady in waiting. This is what you were talking about. Someone was talking about how I think he's sweet on the lady in waiting.
Yeah,
I think,
and vice versa.
And the smile she's giving him in this scene. There's definitely some flirtation happening.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of cute. But when he says you're just a silly girl, aren't you? Roland turns and goes, "Oh no, what has he done?" And the lady in waiting also picks up on it, and so she says, "Better a silly." This is the line you're talking about. Better a silly girl with a flower than a silly boy with a horse and a stick. And then it's called a lance. Hello. It's called a lance. Hello. So yeah, you get the breakup is happening. Within the structure of the movie, this has to happen,
right?
Because we need them to learn. We need them to figure out a way to get back together.
Totally.
We need to have that sweet moment where they're all writing the letter together. Which
I loved that.
When we get to that, it's really quite fantastic.
It's mostly written by all of his friends.
Yeah.
Except the first line is his.
Yeah.
So he continues to win, continues to defeat, and all the stuff. The guy gets dragged.
That's gross. Kind of gruesome to watch.
Did we get to where like she actually gets the letter?
No, we're not there yet.
This is like the montage, I think, of him winning all these like.
So.
Oh, okay, yeah, because this leads up to the order.
We get to the scene now where where he's told that Adamar has been sent to the lines by the order of the Black Prince, and then they say first Jocelyn and then Adamar, and he just. Will is pissed at that line. He just has this look of like absolute. He doesn't even say it. He just screams, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And again, it's that everything is falling apart for him.
Yeah.
And within the structure of a story, this is when things start to either get fixed and we start to trend towards a positive end, or in other stories, we would end up with like a sad ending or like a heartbroken ending.
It's the climax.
Yeah. So they're all like accusing each other of like, well done, well done. We get to go to the battle. We see Adamar with his page. They're in the rain, which they're just suffering.
Yeah, and they're bringing him the results of the tournament.
All the results. It's
Ulrich.
I love this scene. This scene's like so dark. Like he's got sitting there like going through him, and he's just like Ulrich, and then he stabs it. Yeah. And he's like he is he's
very
not
angry.
yeah.
Well, and the poor like Harold is just kind of watching him, going, "My boss is insane, and I don't like. He's got a little loopy." All right, so now we get to the letter writing. Now we get to we're gonna walk through this a little bit here. So
we got to tiptoe a little bit.
Yeah, well, sort of. Yeah, there's some moments. So they're drafting it, and Will is trying. He says, "I miss you," and then Chaucer's like.
We could say that.
It's your funeral. I mean, letter.
It's up to you. It's your funeral. I mean, your letter. It's fantastic. And then we get the inappropriateness from Watt saying something about her particular anatomy. And it just is like...
Which he brings up later.
When Roland is like, you could, but maybe don't.
Yeah.
Like maybe
a little higher.
And he's like, I miss her throat.
Yeah.
I miss her throat. I forgot about that line.
That was great.
I forgot about that line. Oh my gosh. I forgot. Still higher, really, towards the heavens. The moon, at least.
And that's when it begins to take off.
Yeah, and that's when we get it. He says, it's strange to think I haven't seen you since a month. I have seen the new moon, but not you. I've seen sunsets and sunrises, but nothing, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, okay, this is good. That's very good, William. And then each of them shares So I love about this scene, right? Most movies would just skip and just have the letter be written piece by piece and there wouldn't be anything interesting, whatever. This movie dares to dip into each of these people's romantic history, and it's substantive. There is an amazing amount of emotion and depth in this moment where I think Roland says, "I used to know this girl. Well, she broke my heart, but I used to say the pieces of my broken heart are small. They can be passed to the eye of a needle."
Yeah.
Like he writes as though I died. He died as well. He talks then.
Even Watt.
Watt has a girl. Watt has a memory.
It's like she used to cook for the Duke
She used to
of
cook
York
for the
or
Duke.
something.
Of course, food.
I miss her.
Yeah.
like the sun
Weight is
misses the
hardest for her
flower.
stomach.
I misses the sun like the sun misses the flower in the depths of winter, instead of beauty to direct its light. It's really good.
It is
Like
really
this
good.
is good stuff.
I thought he had mixed up the line at first. I was like, the flower doesn't miss the sun. Some what? And then
Yeah.
as it goes on, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
I'll find it empty in the winter if you're not there. I like it. And then we get Kate. So I love this moment because this movie says no, we're gonna get everybody in play. Like we're not gonna skip over Kate because it almost feels like the movie's about to. And then Bettany, whatever, Chaucer turns and says, "And now to finish it up." And they look at her, and she with hope. The structure of this letter and how the characters is we finish with this the reality of who Kate is. She talked about her husband, he died.
Yeah.
And
now you know why she's a blacksmith.
you know why she's a blacksmith. You know why she's so hard sometimes. Why her exterior is so tough. And she says, "Love shed with hope. My husband, God rest him, told me something I'll never forget. And it's like hope guides me. It is what gets me through the day and especially the night. The hope that after I will not be the last time I look upon you." And Watt is in tears as he's the guy who's delivering
He's
it.
wiping his eyes.
And then he gives it to her, and she takes it.
She does.
She does. She takes it. She's like, "Oh,"
She's a good sport.
and finish it with all the love that I possess, William. You mean Ulrich?
Okay, wait.
Okay.
So I pointed this out to Zoe. I was like, realized he did not sign a name. He
Yeah.
didn't want to lie to her.
I thought that was
But
really
he also
clever.
didn't want to put his real name down.
Oh.
you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is smart.
So that's why he put
Interesting.
Your
The night
loving
of-
night. Yeah.
Okay. I
Because he
didn't
was
think
gonna
about that.
He was gonna do William or in this
The
New
night,
York.
the night of your heart. And then one of my favorite moments of this entire movie, he says, "My master hoped you might have something to send him in return."
Yeah.
And the zoom in and the smile on her face is like,
Let me play with Watt a little bit.
and so we get this little scene of the guy talking about the Peter denying or Paul denying whatever, and then woohoo, he's back. And what I love about this scene is it draws it. It stretches.
Yeah.
You don't get, oh well, here it is. It's like, oh okay, well what's going on? Like what? Tell me, did you see her? Did she read the letter? Yes and yes. And
She'll be in Paris.
yeah, she's coming to Paris. And then he says, "Did she give you anything for me in return? Did she give you a letter or a token?"
and
she
then his face.
Yeah, I mean,
Watt's like, I have to do this.
I mean,
Don't I?
I mean, well, what is he? Come on, give it to me.
And he does.
He
He gives it to him
Kisses him
without any warning.
and he's just
goes
like,
for it.
and the look, this is the beauty of Heath Ledger, right?
Yeah.
The look on his face is he goes, oh, and then he goes, wait, that's what that was.
He got the
Yeah,
connection.
he's excited.
Completely demolishes any of his offense and goes, yes, whoa. Because she's and he's trying to tell them and they're just like, yeah, no, we got it.
We got it.
We figured it out. Just by watching Watt, we
So
figured it out.
there's parts of this movie that are so madcap. The energy is just so wacky.
Yes.
You're just like, are we, like you said, you can't put this movie in a box.
No.
It's a comedy, but it's romantic. But it's
And has tie-ins to history. as
yeah,
well.
it's got historical history. It's got weird and wacky moments where you're just like, is this actually in this movie? This is what, okay.
I can't figure out if this movie takes itself seriously or not.
That was
I
my
feel-
issue first watching it. I was like, what?
Like, 'cause
What?
I feel like in a way it does, and in a way it doesn't.
Yes.
Because of all the goofiness, but at the undertone level, it does take itself
Yeah, and
pretty seriously.
I think
It's not Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and it's
Right.
not Robin Hood, Men in Tights. It's somewhere in the middle.
And it's
Yeah.
not Monty Python.
No.
No,
Yes.
no, no. They just go off the rails. That's
It is. It is. I think if you you look at movies, a lot of movies over time, and you like this one doesn't fit. Like you can't.
No.
Be, oh, it's like you have to name at least 3 movies that it's like before you can actually land on. Well, this is where this movie fits.
Totally.
I love it.
It's goofy, but for me, it's believable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think to your point, yeah, like you believe this is happening. Everything is happening in this movie. Like there's no like, oh, that doesn't happen. That's weird. That's unbelievable. Your suspension of disbelief remains locked in from start to finish with this movie.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic.
Is this where we get to the scene where they're all laying down?
Not yet.
Okay, because
Oh, maybe.
they're like laying down. William and Roland are looking up,
Oh.
and Watt's got his darn feet by their
No,
head.
that's
Oh,
but we passed that. So we definitely passed that. But yeah,
I
that was
thought he's-
that was a weird little moment.
It was
Yeah.
funny, though.
And then we get into the bar with the Frenchman.
No,
Wait,
Yeah.
Frenchman.
Wait, did we skip over the part where he and Jocelyn actually do speak in the church? Because I think that's really important.
I think it's
It's coming up.
I think it's
Okay.
after
Coming
this.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want us to skip that.
because so
Yeah,
what's,
that's very
so
important.
that
Yes.
yeah, that part is fun because here we've got the Frenchman and they're like the bet for them is 50. We've only got 50. Come on, he's won 5 tournaments in a row. They go through all the list. These are all the guys who are here. So the key part about this scene is the church scene that comes next is where she says, "I want you to lose for me," and he's just like, "What?" He's like, "If you love me, you'll lose."
Well, he couldn't produce any poetry,
Right?
yeah.
so
They wrote that letter a little too well.
yeah.
And now that we've been talking about, like when I first saw that, I was like, that's a low thing. But now that we've talked about like that scene where Heath is like so focused on his ego that he was mean to her, I feel like this makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
Of her just being like, you gotta squash this now.
Yeah.
I want to say like when they're at the tavern and they're like, talking crap back and forth to the Frenchman, that they very much are like British people in a pub.
Yeah.
At that point, because they're like they start chanting and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
What,
little
what I
singing
love
the song at them.
what I
And
And their logic back doesn't make any
what I
sense.
love is they're
It's
going
not
back
true.
and forth with insults, and Watt is like, "I swear to God, Quasimodo!"
yeah,
And he's just like,
And again, poor Roland is like, "Look, I just want to go home, and I have enough to
Yeah.
make that trip 100 times. I just want to go home."
it really surprised me that they're actually in support of Jeff gambling again.
Well, it's 50.
Yeah.
It's 50 florins, which is a lot of money.
Yeah,
at first they weren't.
I think they're fine with it because it's a bet on Ulrich.
Yeah.
and they all know that Ulrich is the man. Like,
And these Frenchmen, I think, are just they get really tired.
Well,
of
and
it.
Roland fights it. He fights this bet, and so they each of them insults like them individually, and they all get kind of like cranky, and so they're like, "Come on, Roland, I can buy my own tavern. I can write full time." They're all down, and so then they make a joke about wine, and then they go after Roland, and most importantly, because the Pope himself is French. And that
which actually was something in history.
Yeah,
it
so-
tells you around the time of the movie.
So it does give, yeah. And so this movie is lovely in that it
I
does give
know.
us these timelines. It's
Yeah.
weird. So
Yeah.
it says, hey, the French Pope. And so in the IMDb results, it says, well, it identifies the French Pope. This is the 30 years that this movie, I was just like,
Yeah.
it does take itself seriously.
Yeah.
And it does give us this weird like universe for reference that you could probably, I don't know. It's,
But then it immediately falls with, well, if the Pope is French and at least Jesus was English.
yeah,
You're just like, no.
yeah, that's what Roland gets mad
No,
at.
he
like,
wasn't. No.
He says, well, the Pope may be French, but Jesus is English. You're on.
Just this movie. I can't.
He's blonde. He's pissed. He'll see you at the list, Liechtenstein.
Yeah, their little song.
That song is great. I love this song.
And then we're at the church.
Very important scene.
Yeah.
I just love when
Yes.
he takes the water and he just kind of puts it everywhere. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't
like-
know what
He
to
did
do.
not
Holy
know. I'm like,
water.
this is holy water. Oh my gosh. You weren't Catholic, were you?
I actually missed that. He
Yeah, he
does.
just kind of like, okay.
Oh, she does it first, and you clearly see. Oh, she takes it
it's
very
holy water.
ceremoniously, and
Yeah.
not him.
Yeah.
One thing about this scene that I really like. So like, yeah, this is where she tells him like, if you really love me, you got to lose. lose.
Yep.
Basically, give up your ego that has caused us this problem in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like, so like, she's like yelling at him, and the dude comes up to shush her, and she's like, don't shush me to protect him or something like
Yeah.
that.
Like, and go away.
Yeah, go
Did
away.
she push him? I feel like she like, or
Pretty
foot
sure
slap or
she
something.
like nudges him.
Something
Yeah.
like that. And he does. He walks
Yeah,
away.
he goes away.
Yep.
Then there's
She
a conversation
demands
about
her.
women's schedules and men's schedules.
This whole thing, it's just
Yeah.
like, well, we have a demands and like not like women, and I'm like, oh
I love it. He's like, right? No.
No, maybe.
She says, I demand poetry and I demand it now.
Yeah, give me
And
that
this
poetry.
is where the throat comes up again, and I was like,
Yeah. Those things, they're below your throat.
I was like,
but,
"Ah!"
how? What?
he's just digging this hole for himself.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that's when she says, if you prove me, then you should do your worst. My worst? What do you mean? She says, instead of willing to honor me with your high reputation, I want you to act against your normal character and do badly. I want you to lose. And then so this is the best part. So he walked in, right, and pushed her back in conversation. She now walks him back out.
Yep.
I love how they filmed this whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's this whole tug of war almost. And it definitely, the balance of agency here is very fascinating of how they portrayed it. Because and then the shusher comes by. She says, "Do not shush me and spare him. Now be gone. Go."
Yeah.
And she just did. He goes.
Well, because she's like, he's yelling too. Why aren't you like yelling at him?
Like, this is not fair. Go away.
He says, "I will not lose." And then she says, "Well, then you do not love me." And he just
And she says that in a very sad way.
and he scoffs.
Well, because instead of poetry, he basically says what every other guy has said, like, I will win this for you.
Like, he's dug his hole, then he just says the ultimatum where she's just like, oh, is he like everybody else?
yeah.
And I love that when she just goes, like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, are you really serious about it? And then asks me this question, go, yes. Okay, here's what I want.
So and they don't. His friends don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
He has
He-
given them no clue.
And he doesn't know that they made the bet.
Yep. And so he just stands there and takes it. He says, "What are you doing? Losing. I don't understand. Neither
Neither
do
do
I."
And I love it because like the other jouster guy, like he keeps charging at him,
Yeah.
even with Roland and Watt like standing in the way. Roland has to keep dodging out the way.
Like, oh no, I need to move.
And so they're like, "Are you blind?" "I saw it. Okay. I know. You want to drop more behind it for dramatic victory. Look, Jocelyn told me I should lose." And they go, "What? I'd rather you were blind."
This has a cool little moment too, where like one of the lances get broken on William, and Kate is like watching it, and she just catches it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like Jocelyn let this go on a little bit too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, I
Yes.
did too.
So there is the point that I do kind of go, girl,
She was manipulating him.
girl, like that's a little shallow. That's a little
Yeah.
petty.
You pushed it a little too far. But I love this conversation. I think there can be a point in a lot of relationships where like I feel like this is a turning point for them. Like they could have either broken up or not, and I think that this is really important.
I don't know who mentioned it, but like, so they're talking to him, and the competition continues, and so Roland is always running. Like
Yes.
he's always like, "Whoa, gotta get out of the way!" And I love it because again, the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It lets us laugh. It lets
Yeah.
us enjoy the fact
Yeah.
that this has to happen, but it does it in a way that's like, yeah, he just keeps getting hit, and the marks keep going, and so I don't know if you know this or if you did your research, but the spears, the lances are built out of balsa wood, and were scored to break apart easily.
Yeah.
Because the reality was, if they used if they used real lances, they would have killed each other.
Right, yeah.
So there's a whole aspect of this where the lances that are used were for stunts.
And also inside were like dried pasta to give it that splintering effect.
Yeah.
Just sort of funny, I think, to think about.
So you get to see Jocelyn like watching it and like grinning, but like
He
cringing.
loves me after all.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, girl.
But he's getting beat up.
Yeah, he's getting
He's in a lot of pain.
and Watt is mad. He's like, "I'm going to lose everything."
Watt's always mad though. Let's be real. Like,
And
and he's very extreme.
Yeah.
And they let him go and beat up on Chaucer. And the subtitles are clothes ripping. So Watt is just and
Got to get out his aggression somehow.
Yes.
And then Kate says, "It's very romantic, though." And
And Rolla looks at her like, like, who are you?
Well, this is the line where Roland says, "Are you a woman or a blacksmith?" And she says, "Sometimes I'm both." Yeah. And I just love it because she's just quietly smiling and being like, "I know what our girl Jocelyn's doing, and I get it, and like I understand what she's trying to prove here." So now So I don't know if you've ever had a dislocated shoulder before.
No, thank God.
Yeah,
Thank God.
neither have I. But this is how they get it back in place,
Which makes sense.
You don't know that's what they're doing until the end of this scene.
And I was looking at it and I was like, it's got to be that. That's the only
Yeah.
thing it could be.
So they're like, we might be able to pull this together. We might be able to pull this off. And Watt is so angry, and he is just like, "And your love, crank."
Get all this out.
This is actually a productive way for him to take out his aggression. Like, use your anger to give you strength to fix the situation. That was actually really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what happens next after this?
I think this is when Christiana actually shows up, and it was just if you love it, he's like, "I know, lose." It goes, "No, don't lose. Win the tournament."
Yeah, she finally flips.
When she shows up, Roland kind of looks at her and chuckles and smiles. Like there's a little smile there, where he's like, "Oh, hey, it's the lady in waiting. She's back."
Hi.
Yeah, and so he's like, "Okay, well now," and the look on Will's face when she's like, "I want you to win now." He's just like,
I hate her.
And he does. He actually says that. Don't you love her? I was like, I hate her. So
Like, it's good for you, man.
There she
you
is.
needed this.
The embodiment of your love, your Venus, and she says, "And how I hate her," because now he's got to scrabble from the bottom and try and win this. And they watch and watch and watch, and he does it. And
Oh yeah, knocks him right off.
Yeah. I don't understand women. Oh,
I love this line.
Yeah. So he says, "I don't understand women," and then Chaucer says, "Nor do I." But they understand us.
Well, maybe not you. Maybe not. He's looking at Watt.
Oh, what?
And then from now on, like, he does that to Watt like several more times. Well, maybe not you.
Yeah, it's just maybe not you. What I love about this movie is written is that it gets those moments of levity that's not too it's not reaching too far. It's just a light like not a late chuckle. I laughed hard at that, but it's like it's not done in a way that's like the Marvel quip, like how people wrote Marvel movies were very quippy and like, oh, you kind of just got used to it. This movie, I think, was probably Marvel before Marvel was Marvel, but it's done well. Like it earns these lines, and we care enough about what happens. And Watt just stares at him. So he goes back and he wins and he gets it all done, and it's fantastic, and it's great. Women, eh? And so Roland looks at Kate and he's like, "Women, eh?" And then Kate just kind of looks at him and he just goes, "Sorry." Doesn't say sorry, but he's just kind of.
I think that's that moment where like she's become quote unquote one of the guys, and he forgot.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a girl.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is really frustrating if you're a girl in that situation of like, what am I, a duck?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Yep. And so then continued win. A hat gets tossed. And they collect their money because he won.
Yeah.
And doing business with you, if you ever look, I'll come to London World Championships, maybe. Oh, come on, don't look too sad. Have a drink on me. He's quick, he's funny. He makes me load of money. Stuff. And then we get the scene where Jocelyn goes to see our knight.
I love their conversation.
Yeah.
I think this shows the growth in their relationship because she's owning up her faults in this. And he is too, but they managed to laugh about it and have a good balance of like, they talk about taking the bad with the good.
Yeah.
I felt like this was really good.
Yeah.
This is where she finds out his real name, right? Well,
Yes.
Yeah. And she says, "I've heard your people call you like Will or William, then who is," and yeah.
But she doesn't ask any further questions.
No,
either.
she doesn't. She doesn't. She just kind of wants to know, and he says, "Yes, that's the truth."
Yeah.
And they have kissy face and all the things.
But that dynamic of being able to, number one, laugh at things like this, and then number two, taking the bad with the good, that's so important for relationships.
Yeah. All right, so we have kissy face and all the things, and then the return home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love this because we get
It's literally the same guy.
it is. It absolutely. He's just older.
Yeah.
So we find out how long that they've been apart.
12 years, I think.
Well, they're all different.
Yeah, they're all different. Sorry, we flashed back to the kissy face moment for a second. I clicked the wrong button. There it is.
Yeah, I think Roland says his was like 7 years.
Yeah, so here we
Watts
go. So
was
how
like
long
4.
how long so Chaucer's only been gone 6 months. So
Yeah.
Chaucer's been around, like, and this is also the idea that this is his missing years. Chaucer's been gone, and then Watts says 3 years.
Yeah.
Roland says 5
Long years.
5 long years, and
It's been 12 for
Chaucer,
William.
it's been 12 years. And again, we get the back to the Flash. So now we have the scene where we meet how Will was apprenticed to the knight, and how that all went down, and we see a very young Roland.
Yeah.
But it's what I love about this is it's so subtle. It's played softly. Like this scene, it's allowed room to breathe. It's not quick cut. It's not like dramatic. It's just this kid is gonna go now work for this knight for who knows how many years. We're not told why, but we can expect that probably dad can't afford to keep care of his kid. Like probably he needs to go and be apprentice somewhere, and probably one of the very few apprentices who would take a Thatcher's son would probably be a knight or someone who's travels, because you can't, every other job's probably taken. But we meet our knight, and what I love about our knight is he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's he's caring, he's thoughtful,
Funny.
he's funny, and he's a good man. And I think it's cool that they waited until this moment to show him, because we only saw his like half dead face in the beginning of the movie, and we get to understand why Will is the way he is and why he strives for the best and to be the best. But it's so, I don't know, it's just so touching. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
And you see young Roland and
Yeah.
Watt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get a kick out of that. So they're back in London.
The boys are back in town.
Oh, so good.
That
The
was
soundtrack, man.
brilliant moment.
Some of the best. And they're just excited, and they're painting their faces.
My favorite part is when he sees a boy sitting on top of the
stock.
stock.
stocks,
Thank you.
yep.
I can think of the name of it. He's waving, and then there's like a post that passes, and he sees himself.
Yeah.
I just loved the way that was
Yeah.
filmed.
It was
So
really cool
relatable.
because it helped him understand where he came from.
Yeah.
It does foreshadow, because the look on his face changes. I don't know if
Yep.
you noticed it, but once he sees himself, it's not happy anymore. There's
It's sobering.
There's something going on there, and we know what's going to happen because we've seen the movie. But yeah, all the girls are like, "Oh, so Ulrich, how are you?" Of course, he's got his girl, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone lines up, and I just love the grand entrance of it, the grand kind of whatever of it, and then we get the scene.
I think they do tell him that his man's there that he wants to fight.
Yep, Adamar, and they meet.
Yeah,
We will actually meet at the World Championships. I promised you before. I will look at me from the flat of your back.
Yeah, William gets a little fire in his eyes when he hears that information.
Yeah.
Well, because Adamir is basically like, well, I'm going to make her my prize.
tells you,
and
like-
I'm talking to her dad about it right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking. Yeah, man.
But also reveals, hey, basically, I think of her as an object, and I
Right.
don't care because I'm going to get her.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah.
And yes, I am a jerk,
Yeah. like
but
I know that.
I still beat you. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
just, yeah.
And then we get. Is this where William goes to see his father?
Yeah. So
Okay, I gotta say, like, when he goes in to see his father, so I know the scene pretty well. So, like,
Yeah.
he goes in, and his father is now blind.
Yep.
Yeah.
He had a lovely conversation with a little girl before this, who tells him that no, he's still alive. And
You're my favorite
Yeah.
knight.
She's
Yeah,
so
so-
cute.
He's very
I love
cute.
it.
so he goes in to see his father, and his father's like, "If you're here for the net, it's not done yet." He's like, "No." He tells him his name, like, "My name's Ulrich von Liechtenstein." And he's like, "I've been hearing them chant that name from the stadium." And he's like, "Well, I've come bearing news of your son."
Yeah.
And his father gets super like starts to cry, and he's like, "What is this news? What is this news?" And he's like, "Well, he's doing well." And he's like, "Well, did he change his stars?" And he said, "Yes." And then his father asked him, "Did he follow his feet? Did he make it back home?"
Yeah.
And that's when he like reveals, like, "Yes, I am William." And I just looked at Zoe at this point, and I was just like, like trying to hold it in,
Yeah,
like,
it's done
don't
so
cry,
well.
don't cry, don't cry. Like,
Yeah.
that scene's very, very touching. And
Well, and I say this about movies: either a movie earns or it doesn't earn. And
Yeah.
this movie earns this scene.
Yes.
But here's the reason why. The only reason this movie wins and gets this scene is because we have enough. We don't have all. We have enough of an understanding of his father and the journey and why he's here and what's happened for that to be earned. And for us, like Phil, whenever I think about this scene, I get emotional. Because so they keep them separated enough, right? It's not like a scene where they run to each other and grab each other in the arms. Oh, it's so good to see it. No, it's a slow burn.
Yeah, and the flashback previously where he's with the knight, like little William turns to his father. He's like, "How will I know to get back home?" And he's like, "Just follow your feet, William."
Yeah.
And that's brought up again. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then we got a little jerky face outside.
Sneaking
and
around.
Ruining everything as
Yeah.
usual.
Yep. So then so we'll move past
So
that.
yeah, William goes to go and fix his father's roof.
He was so sweet.
And that's when
He does it
Adamir-
immediately.
Yeah, and Adamir sees him from
Climbing up
outside.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Adamir then plots and decides to destroy.
Yeah, it's always the only way to beat him because his mentor, whoever is like,
So yeah, he's
he-
gonna,
Yeah,
he-
because-
he's unbeatable.
Yeah, he's unbeatable.
so he's gonna cheat and try to kill somebody.
Yep.
Basically.
So then
A real winner.
The lady in waiting and Chaucer show up, and
Our
their
crew.
faces are long.
And William's like, "Did someone die?" And they're like, "Yeah, Ulrich von Liechtenstein
Ulrich
is
von
dead."
Liechtenstein is dead. And I love this just look on the actor's face. Paul Bettany just plays it so well. And he's like, oh, and it's Jocelyn. I forgot it's actually Jocelyn who shows up.
Yeah.
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 And so they ask for the patents. The patents are obviously like fake. They're going to arrest you. A dozen royal guards. They're going to put you in the stocks. So this conversation that happens is fascinating because
Yes.
everyone is saying run, run, run,
Even
run, run.
Jocelyn.
Every last
Yeah.
one of them.
Even Jocelyn, of all the people in that group, it's fascinating that Jocelyn is one of the ones that says run. But I think so this is the information that we have from Adamar, that Adamar is entering in negotiations with her father. That layer, which I had forgotten about that piece, probably plays into this because Jocelyn probably knows that her dad, or has found out that her dad is entering into negotiations with Adamar because her dad probably said, hey, by the way, there's this gentleman, this knight, well-known, respected, incredible, blah, blah, blah. He is talking to me and I would like to begin the proper process of entering into a contract with him. And Jocelyn's like, oh no, oh God, no. And so the extra layer here is Jocelyn's like, let's run because they're going to put me in stocks metaphorically.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in stocks. I don't want to be
Yeah.
stuck. And you'll be in, like, we'll never be able to see each other. Like, I will be living a lie. Like, that layer is so beautifully built.
And she says this line, the poor can marry for love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just that this whole scene, because every character is given a chance to say either run or stay. And they all go, look.
Even Watt tells him to run.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. I'll fight over anything.
He's like, "Today we run."
Yeah. And it's so I love it because it puts such a contrast into our guy, into Thatcher, because he doesn't quit. He doesn't run. He never has. And it's that moment of decision for him of I'm going to stand and it's going to suck and I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I am not going to betray myself. I'm not going to become an Adamar. I'm not going to become somebody I'm not, because this is who I am. I'm a fighter. I stand. I deliver. I do the things I need to do.
His friends stay with him to the end.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that here in a second. So he starts out alone, and people are just jeering at him.
Yeah.
Well, they throw him in the cell first.
Oh, and so here's the thing. I forgot about this scene. For whatever reason, I forgot about this moment where he is absolutely getting beat up in the cell by
Yeah,
Adam.
by Adam. Yeah, he's
Coward.
just a loser.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
Beat
then
up someone who's
they
tied
throw him in those stocks, and someone starts throwing stuff at him, and
Yeah.
It's
I
the
love
boy who
it.
was waving at him
yeah,
before.
yeah,
The first one to do it.
And then Roland comes up. He's got a stick. He's like sitting there on guard, and
Yeah.
you got Kate standing there holding her blacksmith hammers.
Yeah, so let's-
And we got what?
Pain!
He's threatening everybody.
He doesn't need a weapon. He has himself.
Yeah.
Let me get to that scene. So it starts. So he's alone at the start, and the kid who said hello to him hits him. And then Roland obviously gets a stick. He says, "Leave, Roland. Let them have me." And he says, "God love you, William. So do I." And then
So that's a change from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Because he says that line, like he starts saying it to William, like God love you, William. And William kind of laughs and goes, I know, no one else does. And this one, it changes.
yeah, he says, "So do I."
Yeah.
And that's a
It's
cool,
huge.
powerful moment because it's that significant that a relationship change has occurred. And so then once he's up there, then Kate and I love how much of a just awesome crazy pants person Kate is.
Yeah,
she
got her
stands
hammers.
up there. She's got her hammers. She's not just standing there like with them at her. She is in a pose. She's like, "I will take any and all comers. Let's go.
Lego.
This is a non-negotiable." And then
What?
what pain? I will fall on you. Just like, oh, buddy. And he's-
Such good friends.
And then the mysterious man is revealed to be in the crowd.
Yep. Well, no. And so here's what I love about this. Yeah. And so Kate actually looks a little scared. Like she's like, she doesn't say, but I think Roland says we're in trouble. Like this is we're
It's
not
going to go down.
Well, and so we have Chaucer who tries to use his power of his voice to turn the crowd, and even he can't do it.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to stop this crowd from wanting to tear them apart. And then obviously we get the mysterious man in the crowd. They start throwing stuff, and it is Prince. What's his bucket?
Edward.
Prince Edward. Dun 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 dun. And I love this moment because it's a payoff. It's a payoff from the relationship. But everybody you can see is just in shock. Like they're all like, "Thank God he's been." He says, "What a pair we make." Both are trying to hide who we are, both unable to do so. This moment also will probably, if it doesn't get you emotionally, it will. So when he gets him out and he says, "I'm going to give you your name,"
And he knights him.
and he knights him. Like
I wonder if that's the first time knighting had existed because he looks scared. William looks scared.
well, William doesn't know what's going on.
Exactly. I don't wonder if this has been done
No,
before.
I mean, yeah, knighting obviously had been done, but like he doesn't know. Like he knows the prince, but he doesn't know the prince. Like he doesn't know if he's going to get his head chopped off or like whatever. But he's also in terror because this is the son, like the brother of the king. Like this guy's got power that if he moves an inch or a finger, you're done. But I think he also just he's been stripped. He's been stripped bare. He has no armor. He just has this little whatever. And yeah, so he knights him. And I love that moment because every single one of those actors, like Paul Bettany, first of all, he closes his eyes in relief because now he's safe. Like we're going to be okay. And I love just how all of them just have these smiles and get emotional because they're now legit. They can take on Adamar. Game on. Let's do this. He lifts him up and you have a match to make. Let's go.
Yeah, and here we go.
And here we go.
Showdown begins.
So we now have Sir William Thatcher
Yep.
going up against Adamir.
Yep.
And this is where the tip spear is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because at this point, he feels like he has to cheat. He's like, I've ruined this guy once. I've got him kicked out. I beat the crap out of him in the cellar. This guy keeps coming back. So he tips his spear. And unfortunately, William gets hit first. Or maybe they both hit at the same time.
They hit at the same time in the beginning. Yeah.
And it pierces
His armor.
William's chest or his shoulder. Specifically, the shoulder he uses to hold his lance.
Yeah.
It really stinks.
And so round 2 happens. William cannot even lift the lance.
Or wear his armor.
Well, no, he wears it in the second one, but he
Okay.
he can't lift the lance. Like he tries to lift it and it falls.
Yeah.
Adamir hits him again. We get to round 3 and he's like, I can't breathe in this thing. Take it off. So he takes off his armor. And he tries to lift up his lance and he can't do it. And he's like, so, strap it to my arm.
Yeah.
And they're about to drop the flag for the round to start. And Geoff Chancellor's like, I gotta stall here. So he gets up. I forgot to do my introduction.
Yeah.
And he goes off. He says all of his wonderful things he says. And he's like, Sir William Thatcher.
Yeah.
And that gives him just enough time to get the lance strapped to his arm.
And during that time, Jocelyn comes in with his father so that he can be
Yeah.
a part of it.
Yeah, which is really nice. And she's like William's down there, and
Yeah.
so round 3 begins, and so all he has to do is to win is knock him off the horse.
Yeah.
Because he already got 1 point earlier for them basically tying in round
Yeah.
1.
Yep.
And can we just say how much of a beast he is to not have armor
Yeah,
on and still do
yeah.
this?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I was like, thank God for movie magic here.
Right.
Yeah.
well, and I think,
Because, yeah.
well, I think there's also some metaphor here, because we see at the beginning of the movie, William does not have armor. He's just whatever himself. He starts the movie like that, and he ends the movie like that.
Yeah.
In between those moments, he's had armor, not his own armor. Then he had his own armor. Then his armor failed him because it was destroyed, and he is now just himself, William Thatcher, the knight, unadorned, unspecialed, whatever, unarmored, and this is his chance. And when he goes and he lowers that.
Yeah, this is a moment I forgot about.
Yeah,
When
where he
charges
shouts his name,
William, and floors
Knocks
the
him
guy.
right off.
Yeah.
And then we get the awesome scene where, like, one by one, all
Yeah.
of the crew come in. And
Yeah.
what's that line that Adamir always said?
Hold
You
on.
have,
So
Get
you
it.
have been measured, you have been counted, and you have been found wanting.
yeah, and then William just comes up and he just like smiles at him.
Oh, it's a beautiful Heath
What is it? Something
Ledger
like "Welcome to
smile.
the New World"?
Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome to the new world.
And we there, obviously that didn't happen in real life.
Right.
That was his moment of realization that he done screwed up.
Yeah.
He done messed up, and
Right back at you.
yeah, yeah. I love it, and so, what do you say about this movie?
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Really good.
For me, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 movie. I would say, like, if I was telling Zoe, like, if I was to like give it like a really harsh critic thing, I'd probably give it like an 8.
Yeah.
But this is my 10 out of 10 movie. It's a comfort movie for me.
yeah,
It's actually one of the first, if not the first DVD I ever got from my mom. The reason why I say, like, critically I'd give it an 8 is because he's supposed to be Sir Auric, like an identity thing.
Yeah.
But his people like kind of screw him over. They keep calling him William.
yeah,
Like there are some like plot minor plot things.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie. I love it. I laugh at it every time. I was telling Aaron I noticed a joke this past viewing that I have not heard before, and I can't say it.
right.
Right.
PG-13
but
movie,
the-
PG podcast.
The thing is like that's the beauty of it. It's a PG-13 movie, and like as a kid, I did not get that joke.
Yeah.
As an adult, I was like, whoa, I did not remember that. It's because I wasn't supposed to. You
Right,
know?
Right.
Yeah, it went over your head.
Yeah, and it's just I love this movie.
Yeah. I see, for me, because I grew up on this movie, right?
Yeah.
I can't be critical. It's like there's certain movies that I just can't. I can't do it. I can't put on the critical eye and like take out the knives and the scissors and go. That was really disturbing.
Pain.
Philip.
Pain.
Yeah, pain. It's one of those movies that I feel like it doesn't let you. You can't. There's not a down moment in this movie where you're just like, okay, well that's not true. Well, that didn't happen. Well, it doesn't let you. It keeps you on your toes, but in a way that's funny and fun and like just you chuckle and you admire the action. It's just it doesn't let you become critical. It doesn't give you a chance because it's not. It's designed again to keep you off your feet. You can't fit this movie in a box.
Nope.
It refuses. It says no. I'm not going to do it. You can't put me in a box. Good luck.
We're all the things.
All the things. It's a great movie. Okay. Did you have a similar rating?
I was gonna give it a 9.
Yeah.
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 But this is my first time seeing it. Turns out I'd never seen it before.
Well, there you
okay.
go.
Nice.
If you've
Well,
never
nice.
seen this before, definitely don't try to put this in a box. This is
gosh.
like nothing you've ever seen.
Yeah,
You
literally.
can't compare it to anything.
And I would say we won't see anything like this ever again
I don't think so.
No.
because it's just so good.
I mean,
What
it's
is
not
the
even like
time
The
period
Princess
thing?
Bride because of all the like. There's enough accuracy in there, and
Yeah.
that you just kind
That's
of.
actually a good comparison to make.
That was exactly what I had said.
That is what?
Like comparing it to kind of like The Princess Bride. I was like, but I don't think you've ever seen The Princess Bride.
Maybe a long time ago.
which is one of my favorite movies.
We should do that one.
We'll have to put that on the list.
You
Have it on
like
DVD.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's a cool little. It's one of those 80s movies that nostalgia hasn't killed.
Right. Yes.
It's
It
still
has my favorite actor in it, Carrie Elwes.
yeah, it still holds true.
best.
It still holds true. All right, well, so next week we will be going into the black and white film of the universe, The
Aaron's
Apartment. It's been a while since I've seen it, to be fair. So I will probably watch it early this week to kind of. I may watch it a little bit tomorrow, just to kind of be like, is this really how good I thought it was?
Oh no!
And if
you
that,
can't change.
I know.
Honestly, people, if you put a black and white movie in front of Aaron, 90% of the time they'll probably love it.
Yeah. Oh, I love me some black and white
You
movies.
do.
Yeah.
You're an old
so
soul.
we watched Christmas in Connecticut.
Yep.
The original. So there's two. The newer Christmas in Connecticut isn't really new. It's like 20 years old or more. Anyway, it's the idea of a lady who writes an entry for a magazine about a life in the country and her children and her husband. None of those things exist. It's all fake.
Okay.
And so she has her friend, her uncle, who has a 5-star restaurant, writes the recipes for her. She does the research on the. She has a friend who has a ranch or a house in the country that she then copies from his design, and so it's real but not real. And so the original was a movie that basically a war hero from World War II they decided, hey, you can go spend time at her house in the country as a reward and enjoy her good cooking and all this stuff. And hijinks ensue, and it's fantastic. The modern version is a movie that has like a TV studio. She's like a TV studio cook, but it's all fake. She doesn't have any of it. I have to watch that one again to see how good it is. But it's wacky and wonderful in its own way. So, but black and white movies, if you're out there and you've not seen a black and white movie lately, you definitely need to see.
Yeah, they're still good.
Zoe and I tried to.
Yeah,
We were going to try to watch the Godzilla -1 in black and white.
Put it out for longer and more theaters.
Yeah.
It's the trials and tribulations of living out in
It's hard where we live.
out in the country, rural areas of Colorado.
Well, and then when I looked it up, it said they're only AMC theaters were going to have it, and I'm
Oh.
So they made it exclusive.
like, yeah.
Way to go, people! You forgot about us in the
And just
boonies.
for 1 week, that's not long enough.
No, it's not. We have to make plans. To
Yeah,
drive.
because we got to
Those of us-
travel.
Yeah.
to go see it.
We live in the middle of this grassland area with extreme weather.
Yeah,
We need time.
Yes.
Gosh darn you! All right, well, that's that for now. There's nothing really on the for horizon movie wise that I'm aware of. I'm trying to think.
Oh man, I just read something earlier today that comes out in February, and I forgot what it is.
There's a new Roadhouse on the way.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about that earlier. Not a movie that I'm familiar with, but they've remade it with Jake Gyllenhaal.
But I love Jake Gyllenhaal, so I'll watch it.
Yeah, so that's coming. We'll see. We shall see. Oh, there is a movie. Okay, so it's with Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
So there's a story. We'll talk about this for a second. There's a gentleman in. Hold on, I gotta find it. So it was World War II, and he was like the Danish Schindler. Who saved children and got them out of the country. And there was a famous TV interview with him many years ago where he was in the studio, and it was like a "This Is Your Life" kind of episode. And they were like, your story of how you saved. And he was much like all heroes are. They're like, oh, I had to help. I did what I was supposed to do. The man. Hold on. Who saved the children? New keyboard. Who dis? Children. World War II.
Stand by. Hold on, everybody.
Stand by while we do our research. Nicholas Winton. Okay. So Nicholas Winton, he didn't want to make a hunch. He saved 669 children from the Holocaust.
Wow.
A secret he kept for many years until his wife pulled out some documents and found out the truth. And so they did a show, and it was basically where they sat him in the front with his wife, or sat him in the front. And they said, and at the end of the show, she said, would everybody who owes their life, and this was like 1980s, to Nicholas Winton, would you please stand up? And everyone behind him stands, because they're the children of the people he saved, they're relatives of the people he saved, and they're the people that he saved who are still alive. They're doing a movie. with Anthony Hopkins.
Nice.
And the trailer is just
Oh, that's cool.
it's brilliant. I love stories that are to echo the letter in A Knight's Tale. I love stories of hope.
Yeah.
I love stories that echo that hope and that unreserved belief that we can do and we can save and we can win it. So that's the movie that I'm watching out for. There's a bunch of other ones. Pierce Brosnan is in a movie about a World War II veteran who finally gets to go back to Normandy but has to sneak out of his nursing home to get there. It's fantastic. The story itself is actually kind of cool. I think Michael Caine and him have actually done their competing movies. So Michael Caine has one he's done and Pierce Brosnan's doing one. So it's a weird mix-up. They got 2 movies. So there you go. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for the better for the good of the podcast?
I know.
Really, Aaron?
I
You're
know-
gonna steal our meetings from school?
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the podcast?
I know at some point we absolutely need to do Grave of the Fireflies.
Okay.
That's the one that's 100% Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh, okay.
95% audience score.
Okay.
And in my opinion, it earns those.
It earns it. Okay.
Yeah, it's the one that I was talking about
Yeah,
last week. That's
Okay. Yeah.
it's sad, but I want to watch it again because I know it's really good,
Yeah.
but I know it's also really sad.
Yeah.
And I don't quite remember what I love about it so much.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those movies that like just stick with me. So like
Gotcha.
it'd be good to, I think, for us to at some point do an objectively 10 out of 10
Okay.
movie.
Yeah.
Like not just our opinions, Like
Sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
90% of the world agree with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for that. We can definitely add that to the challenge list.
Maybe like a little, just a short segment on it or something. But
Yeah, I'm down. Some quick hits or something. All right. Well, my name is Aaron,
My name's Vicky.
I am Phil.
And I'm Zoe.
and this has been Nerds by Screenlight, episode 40.
Wow!
41
Whoa.
is next week, and we continue on with our journey. Thanks for listening. If you have any ideas of movies we should watch, or if you are tempted to punish us for some reason, and you want to suggest a movie that you think deserves our attention and our mockery, and or our pity, maybe, ? Feel free to email the show, adelayedteacher@gmail.com, and let us know, or if you have an opinion on what we said, or if you think we're wrong. We're always willing to not admit that we're wrong and that you're the wrong one. In the
Oh
argument.
my gosh, Aaron!
No.
I was
No.
thinking that.
We'll admit we're wrong.
was-
We'll say we're sorry.
I was low key thinking exactly what Aaron was saying. Like,
No, we take accountability on this podcast.
Yeah, I agree with
if-
Zoe.
I
if you
reject.
if you think we're wrong, the answer is you're wrong, and we're not
Oh
wrong.
my
and
Lanta.
You're wronger. We're righter.
it's
Writer?
Aaron's show.
Let's not
It's
be
my
like
show.
Adam.
JK, just kidding. JK rolling down a hill.
I have been wrong on this show a couple of times, mostly with names though. But
Yeah, it's okay. On the science podcast, I misnamed one of the astronauts in the Challenger disaster. So that was that was dumb.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm amazing. I'm perfect in every way. Anyway, all right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
See y'all later.
The raspberry flap of ours will be out in a moment. The kitchen is closed.
You've been listening to the Nerds by Screenlight podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, a language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.